His name is Carson, and he's the star of an LA-based entertainment show that generates huge numbers. But he's not Johnny Carson. He's Carson Palmer, and he's the quarterback of the 8th-ranked USC Trojans. Today, Carson and company face perhaps the best defensive player in college football, Terrell Suggs. The Arizona State defensive end has 19.5 sacks this season, an NCAA record. The Sun Devils try and cancel the Carson show and its Rose Bowl host. Tonight's show is next on CBS.
They are led by an All-American and a Heisman Trophy candidate. That is why there's a rise in excitement around the USC program as they continue their return to a rich and illustrious football tradition. Welcome to Big Play Saturday, presented by Best Buy and T-Mobile. Number 8, USC still has an outside chance at the Pac-10 title, but they are not getting ahead of themselves. Today at the LA Memorial Coliseum, they've set their sights on the explosive Sun Devils of Arizona State. Let's take a look at the Pac-10 standings, and you can see why everything is so tight. Washington State idle today, 1 win away from clinching at least a tie for the Pac-10 title. USC right on their heels. UCLA and Arizona State right behind. Hello again, everybody. Along with Charles Davis, I'm Ron Thule. And Charles, as we head toward the end of the season, still a lot to be decided. Pac-10 title, Rose Bowl, BCS's, Heisman trophies. But the bottom line is this USC team is right in the hunt. Main reason, Carson Palmer, their quarterback, he is definitely a Heisman contender.
Yeah, number 1 on their list is, of course, the Rose Bowl. But Carson Palmer is a Heisman Trophy contender, and the word should be out about him. I'm hearing a lot of other names being thrown about, but this guy right now in my book, he should be the top candidate. At Oregon this year, 448 yards, 5 touchdowns. That ended his feudal streak at Oregon, where he had lost previously 3 times, and he felt very good about that performance. Thus far this season, he's precise. He's in command of the offense. He's the true team leader. He's the guy, Carson Palmer, that makes USC go.
But for 60 minutes, Carson Palmer and the men of Troy are going to be keeping an eye on Terrell Suggs of Arizona State, number 1 in college football in sacks. He's a player that you have to account for every play.
Yeah, okay, so Carson Palmer is the Heisman Trophy contender, but there's a guy who will be chasing him. You're right, Terrell Suggs, the premier defensive end in college football. 19.5 sacks thus far, an NCAA record since they started keeping that stat. He, of course, would like to up that number. 26 tackles for a loss. But the key to this guy is not only is he disruptive with his own play, but when he gets double and triple teamed, that opens up alleys for his teammates. They also get to make plays, but the guys tonight charged with blocking him, Jacob Rogers, number 77 on the left, Winston Justice on the right. They're the offensive tackles for USC, and Terrell Suggs lines up on both sides of the ball. And believe me, Winston Justice spent a lot of time this week watching film and working a little extra to get ready for Mr. Suggs.
Now let's talk about both these offenses. They are very explosive. They can score a lot of points in bunches. What does this come down to, mistakes?
Oh, that's a great word for it. Lack of mistakes is what Arizona State wants to have. They want to eliminate the turnovers. They've had 9 in their last 2 ball games. They want to take care of the football in order to have a chance against a tough USC defense. For USC, it's just keep doing what they've been doing the last few ball games. Keep the throttle wide open. Norm Chow, the offensive coordinator, has turned things loose, put everything in the hands of Carson Palmer, and good things have resulted. I don't see any reason for them to change.
Why not? Of course, this is the 19th meeting between these two teams, and Arizona State is the only team that USC does not have a winning record against. The series between the two tied at 9 wins apiece. We'll step aside, come back to beautiful Los Angeles for Arizona State and USC.
CBS Big Play Saturday, brought to you by Best Buy. For the latest technology, turn on the fun at Best Buy. By the United States Army, an army of one. By the new fajita trio, only at Chili's, like no place else. And by NCAA Football 2003 from EA Sports. It's in the game. From Wild Time, tied at 16. Ohio State, number 1 in the BCS. In overtime, Maurice Hall from 8 yards out. They've got the lead, 23-16. Illinois, would they?
It's homecoming at USC, so all the old alums are back. Everyone should be having a blast. This weather is spectacular.
Well, Arizona State won the toss, and they have elected to receive. Now, that is usually not all that significant, except in Arizona State's case, they absolutely have to come out with a fast start tonight.
And we talked with Dirk Cutter, their head coach and play caller, yesterday about that, and he indicated to us that that's exactly what he needs out of his team, a fast start and an early score in order to help their psyche and get his team into the game mentally right from the beginning.
Now, Ryan Killeen set to kick it away. Josh Golden, Darrell Lightfoot, back for Arizona State. High short kick from the 4. Look out, Lightfoot. Penalty flag is down, crosses the 50, down to the 46-yard line. But we do have a penalty flag, and it was thrown early. Nice return by Darrell Lightfoot. His longest was 41 coming into today.
Take a look at him. He's going to get a hole chopped right in here, right in that path. Great job by them. I think they called him for a hold back here. You see the double team in the back there? Had one guy hitting a guy in the back.
Now you get a look at Andrew Walter. He is the starting quarterback for this Arizona State offense, averaging over 34 points a game, number 3 in the Pac-10. The emergence of this young man will chronicle the story throughout the next couple of hours. Incredible.
This was a guy who didn't get his first start this year until game 5. Only 2 starts last year as a freshman.
First offensive play. Sean McDonald tries to find the corner, not able to get it. He's going to be knocked out of bounds at about the 17-yard line, a loss of 1 on the play. Let's take a look at the rest of that Arizona State offense at running back. Keep an eye on Mike Williams. He'll get the start today with Cornell Candidate being injured. Sean McDonald, we just saw him, already has set an ASU record for receptions in a season. Centers and guards, Tim Fa'aida. Last year he was a tackle, moves over to guard, and Regis Crawford, he's going to be protecting Walter's blind side from the tackle spot, also going from the right to the left spot. Williams and Carney in the backfield. 2nd and 10. Walter's first pass. Plenty of time. Dumps it down low to Williams. He gets up to about the 24-yard line. Pickup of about 6 on the play. Let's take a look at that USC defense. Very sound. Pete Carroll said they're not playing well. Sean Cody is injured, so Bernard Riley moves back to that starting slot on the line. Matt Grudegood just made the tackle. He's going to be all over the field tonight. And in the defensive back, look at Troy Polamalu, the All-American. He is still hobbled by some ankle problems, but he did have 13 tackles last week versus Stanford. 3rd down and a couple. Walter, quick slanting pass, knocked away, incomplete. Pass intended for Lightfoot. Marcel Allman coming up from that cornerback spot to make the stop.
Excellent coverage by Marcel Allman. Watch him, number 8. Gets a great break on the ball, drives through the upfield shoulder, takes out the upfield arm, knocks the ball down. Good defensive first series for USC.
Not a good series for Arizona State. That's just what they didn't want happen. Walker will kick it away. And it's a boomer. Carlson lets it hit, and this may make it into the end zone. And it does. Parker booms it for 75 yards. That is his longest of the year. Coaches go, hey, it's a great kick, but we didn't want it that far down. Now the USC offense will take over 3 straight games plus 40 points. They've never had 4 in a row. And the main reason they've done that is because of this man, Carson Palmer. Talk about who you want, but when it comes to Heisman candidates, I think he's number 1.
And you've got to take a good, strong look at this guy. You know, a lot of people said he wasn't meeting expectations. He's exceeding them this season.
I agree. Straight ahead running. Justin Fargas will try the right side, able to pick up about 3 on the play. All you have to do is take a look at Carson Palmer's numbers. Look what he has done this year to the previous 3.
Yeah, when you look at 16 and 16 1-loss percentage, which is the number 1 way quarterbacks are judged. This year, 7 and 2. And look at the touchdown interception ratio, 22 to 8. You know what that's a result of? Maturity, and also actually having to be in the same system for 2 years in a row with Norm Chow, getting great coaching. 3 offensive coordinators since he has been at USC. McKenzie in motion. Sultan Mccullough in the backfield. Palmer dumps it off to his tight end, Alex Holmes. He's able to get up to the 25-yard line.
As we take a look at the rest of the Trojan offense at running back, Justin Fargas, he's emerged in that tailback spot. He brings attitude to running the football. Wide receivers, Mike Williams, this young man will be a freshman All-American. He's big, he's fast, he's dominating. Centers and guards, Eric Torres takes over at left guard. Lenny Vandermeet is injured. And at tackle, the true freshman, Winston Justice. He's going to be tested today by that Arizona State defensive line. Third down and about 2.5. McKenzie again in motion. Arizona State showing 7 in the box. Hold everything.
Had someone get a little antsy there. That took a while on the line before they were able to snap the football. Sometimes when you call an audible, guys start to jump a little bit around because it takes a while. Let's take a look here and see. Ah, there we go, right there. Keary Colbert, number 83, trying to get in motion to run his route on 3rd and short. Now it goes about 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8.
USC, highest ranking this late in the season since 1988. They have really kicked it up a notch the last 4 weeks. Third down now at about 7. Palmer, 3-step drop, goes down the sideline, overthrown, intended for Mike Williams, the talented freshman. And USC with 3 and out. Brett Hudson on the coverage. Now, if you're Arizona State, you have to feel real good about that.
Very good about it because Brett Hudson, who is normally a safety, has been moved to the corner so that he can play the taller Mike Williams at 6'5". Brett Hudson is 6'2", 208. Williams 6'5", 210. That'll be a matchup we need to keep our eye on all night when Arizona State is in man coverage. Excellent first series for both teams' defenses.
Tom Malone set to kick it away. Sean McDonald standing at about the 40. He backs up, whistles a fair catch. At about the 37-yard line. That's where Arizona State will take over 1st and 10. 39-yard kick. No score. It's a beautiful night for football in L.A. No score from Los Angeles early in quarter number 1. And our 1st and 10 line is brought to you by Home Depot. Well, Arizona State will take over 1st and 10 from their own 39-yard line. And I think one of the things Arizona State must do, Dirk Cutter, their head coach, also offensive coordinator, they need to attack this pro-style defense of USC.
And when you talk about a pro-style defense, you're talking about a team, USC, that likes to have a man free in the middle, a deep safety at all times, so they can run their pressure packages and hope they have someone over the top, either Troy Polamalu or DeShaun Hill, usually one of those guys who plays the deep middle third of the field.
2 wide receivers. Justin Kaplan goes in motion. Little razzle-daddle, double reverse. McDonald looking for some room. Gets up to the 45, and he'll scamper out of bounds at about the 47-yard line. Let's send it to the big game house and Ernie Johnson.
Thank you, Ron Thulin. Just 8 seconds to go in that game. Ron.
EJ and we will be with Texas Tech next week in Oklahoma. They'll take on the Sooners. Walter fumbles the snap, fumbles it again, still loose. We've got a pigskin down, and USC has it. That is the 10th turnover in the last 3 games for Dirk Cutter's offense. They have 8 fumbles in that span, and they have shot themselves in the foot because of that.
We're not the smartest people in the world, but when you figure a team has had 9 turnovers in their previous 2 games, taking care of the football is paramount. Rudigood, number 6, knocks the ball out the 2nd time after Walter has trouble taking it from the center. And then when he tries to run, he doesn't protect the ball very well. Rudigood with the hand, slaps it out, and the ball is fallen on by USC for the recovery.
Akanuchi Udezi is the one who fell on it. You can see what they've done the last couple of games. They've allowed nearly 100 points. Now USC with excellent field position.
See if they strike quickly.
Palmer again with a short drop, pump fake over the middle, has a man complete. Down to the 28-yard line. It's Keary Colbert. That is what has made Carson Palmer so good in this 4-game stretch. He hit Keary Colbert in stride. Didn't have to turn it all to get that football.
Excellent point, because Colbert's going to come from here and in the middle. And when you talk about hitting him in stride, perfect shot. If Jason Shivers, number 30, is not there, Colbert has a chance to catch the ball and continue to run with it. Fortunately, Shivers is there for Arizona State to make the tackle on the spot. But perfect timing between quarterback and receiver.
1st and 10 for the Trojans. Kareem Kelly in motion. They'll keep it on the ground. Straight ahead running. Still on his feet. Inside the 15 is Justin Fargas, the senior out of Encino, California. R.J. Oliver on the stop. You know, we talk about bringing attitude. That's what this young man does.
This is attitude exemplified because he's an explosive runner. Right there, Jason Shivers, the leading tackler for Arizona State, misses a one-on-one open field tackle because Fargas just ran so hard and ran right through it.
Pick up a 14 on the play. They started the season rotating 4 tailbacks, but Fargas, the transfer from Michigan, has really kind of risen to the top of the crop on this one. That's what he did just a couple of weeks ago against Oregon. Kenzie and Fargas now from the eye. Penalty flag goes down. First hit by Solomon Bates lowered the boom from that linebacker spot. Bates, the senior out of Moreno Valley, California. And fans, this telecast is available with Spanish translation via the SAP button on your remote control. And a penalty will be against USC. That is their first of the evening.
Had a lot of guys in motion, Norm Chow trying to show a lot of different looks in the first couple series of the game, but each guy has to go and get set, and then another guy has to set himself, and one guy has to back off the line, then another guy has to go on the line. It's a lot that goes along with it, and you have to be very precise and take care of all of your assignments before the ball snaps.
The improvement of this offense of USC, though, throughout the course of the year has been outstanding. Palmer, plenty of time, throws it into the flat, looking for pay dirt. Is it a touchdown? Yes, Mike Williams. Carson Palmer with his 23rd touchdown pass. Mike Williams with his 11th reception. What a catch.
And what a throw, because really the coverage was not bad. Brett Hudson was only about a step away from Mike Williams, but the confidence is so great between Carson Palmer and his receivers. He doesn't mind throwing it out there to a spot because he knows his guys will go get it.
18-yard touchdown pass. The extra point is good. 7 straight games now with a touchdown reception for Mike Williams. And Pete Carroll's squad takes the lead early on.
Goes on top, the 23rd touchdown pass of the year by Carson Palmer. And Heisman Trophy ballots were mailed out this week. Before sending them back, I suggest you pay further attention and tune in to the Carson Show. Carson Palmer has a better completion percentage than Ken Dorsey of Miami. He has thrown for more yards than Brad Banks of Iowa. He has more touchdowns than Byron Leftwich of Marshall. He controls the ball, he makes first downs, and he stays on the field. All against a variety of coverages from the nation's toughest schedule. By the time this day is over, the name Carson Palmer should be etched as the Pac-10's all-time passing leader and penciled in as a Heisman Trophy favorite. Ron?
Absolutely, Suggs. You look at his numbers, and he is becoming the star that everybody expected 5 years ago. Josh Golden was going to take a seat about 2 yards deep into the end zone. He is playing with such confidence. And during the commercial break, you said he may be 6'2", but he's playing like he's 7 foot right now.
Yeah, because of his confidence. And one of the things that's actually hurt Carson Palmer this year is that he came in 5 years ago with so much hype that people said he hadn't realized it, and it appears that people have forgotten about him, and they almost hold that against him. What they don't realize is how difficult it is to play college football and play quarterback at a place like USC. Give this man credit for having the perseverance to stay the course for the 5 years that he's been here.
Well, the last time the Sun Devils had the football, they coughed it up. USC took advantage of it. Need to show a little bit of resilience right now. Andrew Walters looking, throwing across the middle. Great completion. Crossing the 40 up to the 45-yard line is Derek Hagan, the true freshman out of Palmdale, California. Just turned 18 years old. This is a very young offense and defense for Arizona State.
But it's one that's going to continue to get better. Pete Carroll told us how he's force-fed his young guys out onto the field. They've played 12 true freshmen this year. Arizona State has a lot of young guys playing. They're being force-fed too, but that'll pay dividends beginning next year.
All right, 1st and 10. Andrew Walter this time, pass incomplete, tip intended from Mike Pinkard, the big tight end out of Thornton, Colorado. One of the things about Arizona State, you look at tape and you go back during the season, they are a slow starting team. Their third quarter is the quarter they seem to really put it into another gear. But Dirk Cutter does not have the luxury tonight to be like that against USC. Not with as efficiently as USC's playing on offense. They scored on 7 of their 12 possessions against Stanford last week, USC did, and Carson Palmer was upset because they didn't score on all 12. They're going to keep it on the ground, nothing doing, going up against a USC defense that has not given up 100 yards to any rusher this year. Well, last week the EA Sports Pre-Play predicted ASU would pull off the upset today. And in our fan poll, 66% of the fans voted for USC to win big over ASU. So far this year, EA Sports at 2-6. The fans surged ahead at 3-5. Stay tuned. We'll see who's correct. Arizona State does not rush the ball well. Only 60 yards the last 5 games, Charles. Yeah, that tells you what their strategy has to be, which means a long night for the pass blockers for Arizona State. Third down and 8. Hakeem Hill in the backfield. Walter looking, has to dump it off, passes tipped and dropped. Mike Pickard had a shot at it. The pass was tipped by Omar Nazel coming from that defensive end spot, and that's what we saw in last week's game. Andrew Walter had a lot of passes tipped at the line of scrimmage. And this is what USC needs from Nazel, number 56. They need him active, as he was in the beginning of the season. Had a huge game against Auburn in the season opener. Has tailed off recently, only 4 tackles in his last 3 games, as we saw the frustration on Andrew Walter's face after that ball was tipped. Greg Carlson standing at a 15, moves up to the 19. Bunch of white jerseys corral him, and he is dropped at the 28-yard line. 34 yards on the kick, about 9 on the return. And USC will take over again. You know, we talk Heisman hopefuls. I think all of us believe that Carson Palmer should be number 1, but here's who he's chasing. Chris Brown leads the country in rushing. Ken Dorsey, Brian Leftwich, but Leftwich's schedule, not one of the top 100 as opposed to USC. Larry Johnson at Penn State, he's looking at Lydell Mitchell's record. And look at what he did today. 325 yards on the ground today. He has vaulted himself into Heisman contention. Brad Banks took Iowa to an undefeated Big Ten season. A first-time starter. What a player he is. And congratulations to Kirk Ferentz, the fine coach at Iowa, for turning that program around. Jason Shivers on the stop. Malaihu McKenzie on the carry. McKenzie hasn't been carrying the ball a whole lot. Only 9 carries the last 5 games, or catch the last 5 games. And the numbers on Palmer. And I tell you, you can't argue these stats. No, and what you like most about them is that every time you talk to Carson Palmer about his stats and everything that's been going well for him this year, all he wants to talk about is the Rose Bowl. You know? That's right. That's the number 1 thing about him. What a true leader. Hasn't had a chance to be there. They keep it on the ground, blasting over the left side, crossing the 35-yard line is Justin Fargas again. He only had 9 carries last week versus Stanford, but they know that with this young man, they have that explosive speed that they didn't have really at the beginning of the year. Sultan Mccullough, fastest tailback ever, but Fargas combines that speed with a little bit of power. And Sultan is not a bad back. No. Sultan ran for almost 200 yards just a few weeks ago in a ball game that Justin Fargas didn't play much in because he's been dinged up a lot this year. But as you mentioned, he has an attitude with the way he carries the ball, and the offensive line really responds to him. Interesting formation. Fargas again over the left side, still moving the feet. Gets the first down up to the 45-yard line. This is typical USC on offense. Coming into the game, they had 349 rushes, 348 pass attempts. You talk about a balanced attack. That's about as balanced as you can get. It doesn't get much better than that. And look at the formation. They've got a lot of guys off to the right, bring Fargas back to the left. And look at the blocking. Great kick-out block by the offensive line. And then Fargas running so hard inside, breaking a couple of tackles along the way. Another 1st and 10 for the Trojans. Williams in motion. Palmer swings it out to him. Now another double pass. Pass is caught. Keary Colbert with the reception. The first was a lateral. Williams shows that he's got a little arm. Pickup of 19 on the play. You see the first Phantom Raider of the night because they run this bubble screen so well. Watch Williams in motion. The key is that he bubbles back so that it becomes a lateral so that he can make the second pass.
See that? Because he went backwards, it was a lateral pass that made him eligible to throw the second pass to Colbert. Now, if he deletes Colbert the right way, it's a touchdown. There's Norm Chow. He's the offensive coordinator, and we mentioned at the top that they've turned this offense wide open. There's an example for you.
Dr. Norm Chow. Nice play action. Palmer into the flat, incomplete. Pass was intended for Mike Williams.
That was one Carson would like to have back because he had Grant Matos open, running a route across the field. Carson Palmer having to get his shoulders turned so that he can make the throw going against his body. One of the few bad passes you'll see him make.
And you don't see that very often.
No, that's a difficult throw for a quarterback going against his natural side. But Carson Palmer can make that throw. Make no mistake about it.
Second down and 10 for the Trojans. Straight drop. They dump it off into the flat. Fargas running room. Down to the 20-yard line. Matt Foley, the true freshman out of Richardson, Texas, just outside of Dallas on the stop.
Brent Guy, the defense coordinator for Arizona State, trying to get some pressure on Carson Palmer, comes with the blitz, sending Solomon Bates, number 1, the linebacker, inside. Great block on the backside by Norm Katnick, number 62, cutting down one of the defenders for Arizona State. Fargas taking the ball deep into the secondary against the Sun Devils.
How about that's Fargas's first reception this year?
Yeah, ordinarily they use Sultan Mccullough, as a pass receiver. Malaifu McKenzie has been a main pass receiver out of the backfield. Just starting to integrate Justin Fargas into the pass game.
Another play action. Looking deep into the end zone. It's going to be overthrown. Pass was intended for Malaifu McKenzie. Let's go to the big game house with Ernie.
All right, thank you, Ron. Let me show you a half. David Green to Michael Johnson. Georgia will go to the Georgia Dome and play for the SEC title. Let's go back to you, Ron.
That sigh you heard was the sigh of relief from Ernie Johnson, ladies and gentlemen.
Does that mean I have to congratulate him?
Yeah, that's right. Later. Palmer with a little play action again to the tight end, Alex Holmes, inside the 10, down to the 4-yard line. Holmes, who had his first touchdown in his career coming against Arizona State last year, takes it down inside the 5 tonight.
The whole playbook is certainly open now because they sent Flo left, 2 receivers that way. Carson Palmer circles back right. Alex Holmes, the tight end, pretends to block, slides out into the flat, wide open, no coverage. This young man, Holmes, 81, is really coming on. 3 receptions last week against Stanford for a touchdown, 2 already tonight.
And his first touchdown of the year last week against Stanford. Palmer, 3-step drop into the flat, incomplete, intended for Keary Colbert. Good coverage on the play by Matt Foley, the young freshman out of Richardson, Texas, who broke his arm in the Stanford game. He's playing with a plate in his arm right now.
You see on the left side, it'd be his left arm. There it is. Bandage back. And remember, he's a true freshman. So one of the things you have to work on with him is mentally coming back from an injury such as that. Because in high school, you break your arm like that, a lot of guys aren't coming back at that time. The doctors now say, hey, you're clear to go, but he has to have confidence in order to play. And so far, he's playing pretty well tonight.
Keep it on the ground. Down to about the 3-yard line. Terrell Suggs stopping Justin Fargas. First time we've called Suggs' name tonight.
Well, they've kept him occupied with a lot of misdirection, a number of different formations. And we talked at the top about the offensive tackles having to block Terrell Suggs. But remember this, they're going to get a lot of help. The tight end will often be on the side of Terrell Suggs. They'll use an extra back to come out and chip off on him. They'll do a number of things to make sure they try and slow down the best pass rusher in the country.
Brett Hudson goes out wide to the right to keep an eye on Kareem Kelly. Carson Palmer looking, having time, throwing deep into the end zone, incomplete. Mike Williams is 6'5". He needed to be about 7'5" for that.
When we talk about Carson Palmer acting as if he was 7'5" now because of his confidence, maybe he's got to remember to bring that down a little for the rest of the mortals. But actually, it was a good play. He put it in a spot where only his receiver, if he were a Superman, could get it, and the defenders couldn't, and preserved a field goal attempt without taking a sack.
Now Tom Malone is going to spot the ball right at the 10-yard line. It'll be a 20-yard kick for Ryan.Killeen. 9 of 14 on field goal attempts so far this year. And he'll split the uprights. So USC takes advantage of a fumble to put 7 on the board. Then they put 3, and they lead it 10-0. We'll be back to L.A. in a moment. The number 8 team in the country, USC, leading Arizona State 10-0, 4:31 left in quarter number 1. Now, Robert Horry knows something about the NBA, and the drama continues on TNT this Thursday. Listen up first. Charles Barkley with Ernie Johnson, presented by Gatorade. Starts things off at 7 o'clock Eastern, followed by exclusive NBA coverage. Game 1, a little Texas shootout. The Mavericks host the Houston Rockets. While in Game 2, the Portland Trail Blazers will travel up to Seattle to take on the Supersonics. And, of course, the evening wraps up with Inside the NBA, presented by Hyundai. Robert Horry last night, great game in overtime for the Lakers as they get off the schneid, I guess you can say. And
that's right.
Mavericks undefeated.
Well, what a great start to the NBA season. A lot of great talent out there. You know who Charles and Ernie will welcome to the studio this week for Listen Up? The governor, Jesse the Body Ventura.
Oh, boy. I want a piece of that. Josh Golden, 7 yards deep in the end zone, will take a seat. We've talked about Arizona State having to start quickly, and Andrew Walter, I think, right now understands the importance of it. They've got to make a good drive right here. Let's go down to Craig Sager.
Well, they're going to have to play again without Darrell Lightfoot. He was hurt on the opening series. Remember that third down conversion attempt when the ball was ripped away from his hands? He went into the locker room, had x-rays. His arm is right now in a sling. He is out. He is the second leading receiver, but more importantly, according to Andrew Walter, he's the guy that runs the quick routes, has the quick feet, the one he looks for in the third down, and he is in the locker room.
That's a big loss, Eggs.
It's a huge loss. Matt Miller, number 89, didn't make the trip. Another receiver, so they're down in numbers at that position.
Well, they have to throw it out of the flat. The ball is loose, and another fumble. And Arizona State looks like they've got it back. Mike Williams lost the handle, popped right up in the air. You know, we talked to Dirk Cutter and everybody about this last night and said, listen, if you're doing anything special, you've got to do something.
And look at Grotegood, number 6, breaks down, and right there he gets sandwiched. Number 45, Mike Pollard, and number 94, Kenechi Udeze. They combine to knock the ball free, and then in the big scramble, Arizona State fortunately comes up with it. And it looks like Udeze, number 94 for USC, still down on the ground after making the big play, popping the ball free. But as you mentioned, when we talked with Dirk Cutter, we said, hey, how do you emphasize taking care of the ball without overemphasizing it and making all your guys crazy in terms of, you know, hey, hang on to the ball, which usually means they'll drop it even more. And he said, we don't do that. We work on our drills and keep working on their confidence. But right now, you have to think to yourself, if you're Dirk Cutter, that +3 right now, you keep winding it down and losing balls, and you get closer to 0 and even, and that doesn't help you win ball games. They've got to find a way to take care of the ball because USC always goes after it.
Well, they have 23 takeaways, the Trojan men, so far this year. 24, including that first fumble in it just a few minutes ago. On second down, Andrew Walter again. This time has a man wide open down inside the 50 to the 48-yard line. It's Mike Pinkard, the big senior tight end. Here's a guy that had 15 receptions all of last year. That is his 21st this year.
Take a look at this. Right there is Pollard, number 45. He's the middle linebacker running upfield, and he looked opposite. And that's why Pinkard was able to come in on the backside against the 2-deep coverage and make the catch for 25 yards. Pollard was chasing another receiver.
On 1st and 10, Walter again, straight drive. Dumps it to Williams. Maybe gets about 2 on the play. Champ Simmons on the stop, coming up from that weak side linebacker spot. Fans, you can vote for tonight's U.S. Army Players of the Game, powered by America Online. Simply log on to TBSSuperstation.com or AOL keyword Big Play and cast your vote. We'll give you the results a little bit later. Now they're saying he picked up about 3 on the play. 2nd and 7. Pinkert in motion, the little toss to Williams. Looks for the corner, gets it, has the first down as he scampers inside the 40 down to about the 38-yard line. That was probably one of the more successful running plays we've seen in the last couple of weeks for Arizona State.
When you say last couple of weeks, more like 4 or 5 weeks.
Yeah.
Just have not been able to run the football well. Mike Williams began the season as the starting tailback, was beaten out by Cornell Candidate. Cornell gets hurt last week. Mike goes back in. A lot of the reason he's in the game more now is he's a better pass blocker than Hakeem Hill, who actually has more skills and is much more of a game breaker. So we'll see how Dirk Cutter uses those tailbacks tonight.
Well, Hakeem Hill is now in the lineup as they go with a 3 wide receiver set to the left. Hill bouncing to the outside, reaches forward to the 35-yard line for a pickup of 2. Matt Grudegood had him by the foot. Good look at Hakeem Hill, the redshirt freshman out of Iowa City, Iowa. 3 brothers played college football, but the most famous, his father, J.D. Hill.
And J.D. was an All-American at Arizona State, went on to an excellent career in the NFL with the Buffalo Bills. Heard about a great set of genes in that family.
Oh, my.
The DNA runs deep in the Hill family.
Did they share any of that? Second down and 8. Hill and Carney in the backfield. Little fake, pressure on, dump it into the flat for Carney. The fullback rumbles inside the 20-yard line. Mike Carney, only his 8th reception of the year. This is the drive that Dirk Cutter and his staff were looking for out of Arizona State. Nice job by Andrew Walter picking up the blitz. Seeing Troy Polamalu coming from the strong safety position and catching him in a zone blitz with Kenechi Udeze, number 94, trying to cover Carney out of the backfield. Excellent one-handed catch by Carney, first down, Sun Devils. Mike Carney got a little blood work in there on the side, huh? Got a little nose there? You know, they say don't get a little blood work and you're not really into the game. Oh, he's into it now. First down and 10. Empty set. Williams in motion. Walter looking left. Gets away from 1. Into the end zone. Almost intercepted. Mike Pollard had it right in his hands and couldn't bring it down. We hear a lot of talk about the cover 2 defense in the NFL. You know, Tony Dungy and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, one of the popular practitioners of. We take a look at our all-state camera. DeShaun Hill is scratched on the hash. But watch Pollard, number 45, running underneath the receivers, controlling the middle of the field. If you have a linebacker who can drop 30, 35 yards deep in the middle of the field and help make plays, that's why you can run a strong cover 2 defense. We want to thank Allstate for providing tonight's goalpost cam. You're in good hands with Allstate. On second down. Pressure. Walter. Pass complete inside the 10 down to the 5-yard line. Mike Pinkert again. What a great touch by Andrew Walter. Pickup of 15 on the play. Andrew Walter standing up to the pressure. Andrew 6'5", 219. We saw him yesterday. He's still very thin. Wait till he actually fills out and becomes a lot more muscular across the top end with his legs. Then he'll be an absolute rock. But stood in with the pressure, made a nice throw. And Pinkert, a great catch for the tight end. And it's now first and goal for the Sun Devils. Final 55 seconds of the first. Straight ahead running with Mike Williams. But Kenechi Udeze, the big sophomore from right here in Los Angeles, California, a former second-team freshman All-American on the stop. How good is this young man going to be? He's only 19 years old. My goodness. Just going to keep getting better and better. He has those intangibles that the coaches have finally discovered. He's going to keep moving along and getting better all the time. Well, this is unusual for Arizona State. This is the 10th play of their drive. They average about 2:20, 2 minutes and 20 seconds of drive. They're grinding it out tonight. The pump right, looking left, has a man overthrown. Intended for Skylar Fulton, the junior out of Olympia, Washington. Hard to make a great touch pass on a seam route inside because the receiver will run out of space quicker. If you throw that pass with touch to the corners and to the wide side with the fade, you actually have more room to operate. If we look at Darrell Lightfoot on the bench right now, unfortunately. Well, this is a report from Craig Sager about him being out. Well, this is where Arizona State has struggled. Their red zone efficiency has not been good this year. Third and goal. Walter looking, incomplete. intended for Sean McDonald. Coverage on the play by Marcel Allman, who has a couple of inches on Sean McDonald.
Again, the last two passes that Arizona State threw into the end zone were passes that were thrown with a little bit of loft on them across the middle. That allowed the USC defenders to actually gain ground and come back and help make plays. Very difficult to throw that type of a pass in the middle zones of the field unless the receiver is absolutely wide open. Those need to be more quick striking passes, but the guys were not open in order for Andrew Walter to get into him initially.
Mike Barth will attempt the field goal, spotted at the 12. 22-yard attempt. And at least Arizona State doesn't go away empty-handed. Good drive by Arizona State. They were able to get 3 on the play. And that's the end of quarter number 1. It's been a good one. USC, the number 8 team in the country, leading Arizona State by 7. An absolutely glorious night for football in Southern California, where number 8 USC leads Arizona State 10-3. This is an incredible setting and a beautiful day today. Temperature probably about 80 degrees. Cooling down a little bit. Greg Parado kicking away for Arizona State as they were able to get 3 out of that drive. I think the key now is we saw this USC offense really get into a rhythm their first couple of possessions. How much will that big 11-play drive have stalled that rhythm? We'll find out.
We'll find out. It shouldn't have much to do with it. These guys should be, pretty lathered up and ready to go. But sometimes when you sit around a while, it does take a little bit of the oomph out of you. We'll see.
Marcel Allman from the goal line. He is tripped up as he gets to the 13-yard line. Well, the 4th member of our broadcast team giving us a little local flavor. Here's Erin Andrews.
All right, Ron. Well, one of the most famous college mascots is found right here at USC. The white Trojan horse. Well, this horse is known as Traveler, and this is Traveler number 5. He's been in this tradition, of course not this horse, but this tradition has been here at USC since about 1961. Traveler number 5, he's a 2-time national champion show horse. But the cool story about Traveler is about his caretakers, the Sacco family. They've been taking care of these mascots for about 41 years, and unfortunately, this is their last year taking care of Traveler. Now, the cool thing about that is they're going to give the reins over to their son, Chuck O'Donnell. He lives right there on the ranch. They'll be able to see Traveler whenever they want. But the Sacco family told me it's also neat because they'll be able to sit in the stands for the first time in 41 years right here at a USC game. It's a beautiful horse, guys.
Erin, it is a beautiful horse, and since the family's going to get out of the business, I want to get my resume in early, but I just want to give you guys a story. 1981, Tennessee came out here to play, my alma mater. Now, I wasn't on the team yet, but Marcus Allen was here the year that he won the Heisman Trophy, and they beat Tennessee 42-7, and Traveler runs after every touchdown. Well, USC scored them so fast that they had to quit running Traveler after halftime because he foamed up so much. He lathered up, and the poor horse was gassed out.
Now, there was some offsides on Arizona State, so they had a re-kick, and it's Marcel Allman looking for the seam, trying to get to the outside. Crosses the 20 up to the 22-yard line, much better. And that's where USC will take over, 1st and 10. Balanced, unpredictable, multi-dimensional. And I think we've seen all of that so far here after just 1 quarter of play, especially the multi-dimensional. The different formations so far seem to have taken Terrell Suggs out of play.
The formations and the variety of plays that they're running, as well as the blocking schemes where they're doubling him and chipping off with the back and showing him all these different looks. A lot of tight end trade to his side, and this time it looks like they've left him open.
Palmer, the quick 3-step drop, throws it out of the flat. Pass is complete up to the 28 to the 29-yard line. It's Keary Colbert. R.J. Oliver on the stop. Well, our next telecast will be coming your way next Saturday at 7 o'clock Eastern Time on TBS. It is going to be a dandy. The 4th-ranked Oklahoma Sooners take on the Texas Tech Red Raiders. Of course, former Oklahoma offensive coordinator Mike Leach, now the head coach of Texas Tech. Texas Tech with an outside shot at the Big 12 South.
They can go in and beat Oklahoma next week, right? That create a tie in the top of the Big 12 South.
That's right. Hand off straight ahead, Sultan Mccullough. Well, it looks like Terrell Suggs now is out. He'll stand on the sideline.
Right there, big Terrell. You know, even the big guys need a break sometimes, right? And as a pass rusher who comes at the quarterback a lot, those are short sprints. And, you know, right, one good thing he did in the offseason, Terrell Suggs, was hit the weight room, get stronger, put on about 15 pounds, lost no quickness, still running about a 4.5 40. And a lot of his teammates point to his example as setting the tone for their good season thus far.
I'll tell you, he's an exceptional player. Mike Williams goes in the slot. Sultan Mccullough behind Carson Palmer. To Williams. Immediately, penalty flag is thrown. Gets back to the line of scrimmage.
It'll be a hold out wide on the screen. Wide receiver trying to block from Mike Williams. Let's take a look at Keary Colbert as he goes to block.
Oh, my.
Brett Hudson. Think he's got enough of the jersey right there?
I think he should get an autograph.
You know, I think if you're going to get that much jersey, go ahead and pull the whole thing off. You know, get your money's worth.
What happened to the tearaways, remember?
Exactly.
Holding on the offense. 10-yard penalty from the end of the run. Repeat first down.
The good thing for USC is their wide receivers' willingness to block on that play all year long. When you can run that play 9 times, you know, in a ball game, that's a lot of confidence, and you know that your guys are willing to give up their bodies and block for their fellow teammate. No jealousy that a freshman has come in and taken over the primary ball catching duties. I mean, Mike Williams, #1.
We've seen that young man grow up in the last couple of games.
Yeah, we saw the game that led to his growth, the Kansas State game with 5 drops.
Keep it on the ground. McCullough right side, breaks through, sideline. One man to beat. Taking it to the house, but he's pulled down from behind. Brett Hudson, the junior out of San Diego, California, with the saving tackle. But he picked up 57 on the play.
In the year 2000, Sultan Mccullough had 1,163 yards rushing, 10 100-yard games. For a senior to have that kind of a career, you know he was wondering, why am I coming out of the lineup? And check out the block on the corner here. There's Greg Gunther, #44, the tight end, occupying. Great job there into McCullough with his 10-1-7 100-meter speed. Takes it downfield.
Former Pac-10 100-meter champion. Keeping it on the ground on the left side. Justin Fargas. What a 1-2 punch now Pete Carroll has on that offense with Sultan Mccullough, Justin Fargas. Malaifu McKenzie has found his role as a receiver. That is very difficult to try to come up with a game plan to try to stop that trio.
And that's what Norm Chow and Pete Carroll were looking for. They wanted people to emerge so they could cut down giving 4 guys the ball during a game, because a runner can't establish a rhythm only carrying it a certain number of times during a ball game. And now they've got that taken care of. Everyone has their role, and the offense is operating very, very well.
Terrell Suggs back into the lineup. Here comes the blitz. Palmer's team picks it up. Throw it into the left corner. Incomplete. Penalty flag finally thrown. Intended for Kareem Kelly. Coverage by R.J. Oliver. Yeah, you weren't sure if that ball was catchable or not.
And that's what Dirk Cutter's pointing out. See what he's saying?
Yeah.
The ball's not catchable. It's way off on the sideline. You need to pick up the flag. USC, of course, will say, well, of course it wasn't catchable. Your guy mugged our guy downfield.
Yeah.
He had no chance to go get it. And he said, you see, Dirk Cutter's saying the ball's way out of bounds. No one could go get the ball. Looks like Dirk's going to lose.
He's going to lose that.
See, he's having a discussion here in our super shot, and I'm sure he'll enjoy this part of the discussion because he's getting to vent a little, but it won't help. Watch R.J. Oliver, #26, all right? He's got his hands on him. Now watch where he puts his hands on him right there. Ball's in the air. See, right there as he's got him, the ball's in the air, which in college means interference. You're holding up the receiver. What Dirk Cutter's saying, see where the ball ended up?
Yeah.
Dirk Cutter's saying, okay, you tell me who's going to catch that one. As we look at Suggs on the pass rush, not able to get there. Got a little extra for his money with Carson Palmer. No one hurt on the play, but you notice they tried to cut him down. Looked like Jacob Rogers, #77, off the top, tried to chop him. Suggs is so quick. If you don't get him right off the top, you're just not going to get him. You know, it barely brushed him as he went by.
Well, he already has the NCAA record for season sacks, going after the unofficial national record set back in 1987 by Zeke Gadsden of Pitt.
Ezekiel. Boy, did he have a big year. Mike Gottfried was coaching the Pittsburgh Panthers. Tight formation inside. Apparently they look to run the football here.
Now they play action. Down to the 1-yard line. Stretching over the goal line. Alex Holmes, touchdown. Second touchdown reception of the year for Alex Holmes.
And as I said, the ball's going to be faked right here, and then Carson Palmer's going to look for the tight end cutting across. There comes Holmes right there. And as I said, tight formation are going to run the ball. What I meant, they're going to run it after he catches it.
You covered your face. A little yak there, right? And the extra point is good. Thank you for tap dancing around that. Now USC taking advantage. Their offense is in great rhythm right now. They've opened up the lead on Arizona State. Saturday is presented in part by Best Buy and Discover Card. It pays to Discover, so use your Discover card to buy the latest stuff at Best Buy and turn on the fun. Along with Charles Davis, Craig Sager, Erin Andrews, I'm Ron Thulin. There is a future USC cheerleader, Cutie Patootie. USC delighting their fans so far this evening, 17-3. And that's going to be a penalty flag. We'll try to do this again.
And a long walk for Keary.
No, they don't like that. And, you know, this is the time of year, too, that Pete Carroll and Dirk Cutter alike, you start fine-tuning things, and one of it is special teams, even kickoff coverage. You want to make sure that as you head towards that bowl season and on these all-important games, nothing gets by you.
And USC has fine-tuned it by adding more starters to their kick coverage and kick return units because they haven't been satisfied.
On the offense, ball we placed the 35-yard line. First down.
The delay of game, you know, the legal procedure penalty, whatever they want to call it. The ball comes out to the 35 for Arizona State. But Pete Carroll said, hey, we haven't been getting good play of our special teams. I'm going to add better players to that unit because it's very important. As we see here, Andrew Walter, first 3 possessions, didn't look too good. The last one, though, same 5 yards, ended up in a field goal. Of course, they wanted 6, but still they had to be heartened by the last extended drive against a tough USC defense.
They have to stay aggressive. 3 seconds to snap it. Walter seeing some pressure, trying to set up the screen to Williams. Gets up to the 40-yard line, and he is surrounded by a bunch of USC jerseys. This is the 13th best defense in the country. They are outstanding, and one of the reasons is they close on the ball so quickly.
And that guy right there, Matt Grotegood, number 6, in a lot of defensive schemes, he would be a strong safety. I mean, when you think about his size, 5'11", 205 to start the season, but he's playing an outside linebacker, and he is so active, they can use him so many different ways. USC
with 9 in the box. Walter goes up top, tries to beat it, has a man incomplete, intended for Sean McDonald. Coverage on the play by Marcel Ullman. We're seeing right there what USC wants to do. They're daring them almost to throw the football when you put that many in the box.
Yeah, because they've got a deep safety in the middle of the field. That time they used DeShaun Hill, number 5. Their strong safety is the deep middle, played man coverage on the outside and have the corners run with them. The only way to try and beat that. So you watch the deep safety, and boy, is he deep. See him right there? Here's man-to-man on the outside. And so when you run the play, now if everything gets funneled to the middle, you have help. If you move it to the outside, it's a one-on-one play. And USC likes their odds with their corners.
Arizona State 0 for 3 on 3rd down, make it 1 for 4 as Walter scrambles forward to get the first down up to about the 48-yard line. Omar Nazel on his stop.
Last time I listened to someone tell me that this big guy can't move around a little bit. You know, the MO was that he's almost immobile in the pocket. That's not true. You know, not everyone's going to go out there and run around like a Donovan McNabb, right? Or a Brad Banks at Iowa to keep it in the college game. But he moves just well enough and has good smarts, and that worked for a first down.
First and 10 from about the 48-yard line. Pressure coming, looking, throws it away. Had a man open for a second. It was Derek Hagan, the true freshman out of Palmdale, California. Well, fans, do you have a question for us? All you have to do is send us an email. We'll select one question to answer, and that'll come a little bit later in the game. Here's what you need to do. Send it to tbsbigplay@aol.com. And as always, please include your name and where you're from.
That was a nice play by Andrew Walter. People are going to say, you're crazy, it's an incomplete pass. But he threw it away without taking a sack. Lives to fight another down. Continued maturation of a young quarterback.
On 2nd and 10, here comes the blitz. Walter dragged down at the shoot by Matt Rudigood. That'll be the first sack of the night for USC, the 6th of the year for Rudigood.
And now at home, you're saying, what about this one? Why didn't he just throw the ball? But watch Rudigood, number 6, right up the middle. He's on him so fast, he has no chance to get set and throw it, so he does what a smart quarterback has to do. Protects the football, takes the sack without giving up a turnover, and again, you now have an opportunity to throw the ball on 3rd down. You know, some plays, you have to take the sack.
Right.
Other plays, when you have a chance to get rid of it, do so.
Loss of 8. On 3rd and 18. Complete up to the 45-yard line, incomplete. Derek Hagan had it and dropped it. He would have been about 3 yards short of the first down anyway. Marcel Allman out of the coverage, and Arizona State forced to kick it away.
Take a look at from our All-State camera. Marcel Allman, number 8, has outside leverage, stays with it, drives. The ball's a little bit behind. Receiver unable to come up with the catch, but Allman, good coverage for USC. Boys, he helped solidify a secondary. Has been racked by injury. Kevin Arbette. You know, Ronald Nunn, we saw them both there. You know, we saw Nunn hurt earlier this year against Kansas State.
Oh, my. Greg Carlson is hog-tied, and we have a penalty flag throw. Shivers laid a little wood to him.
I want to see if it's because the tackle was high or if because they're saying he violated the halo rule.
It didn't look like the halo.
It did not look like halo on the initial shot. Let's see what the call is.
Dirk Cutter's done a great job with this Arizona State team in only his 2nd year. I was hoping for something good out of this. Well, it's going to be a face mask.
And it's the personal foul face mask. That should be 15 yards. Let's take a look. Number 30, Shivers, as the gunner on the coverage.
Personal foul.
Oh, yeah. Caught him up high.
On the kicking kick. 15-yard penalty.
Watch as he goes with the arm, left arm, right on the mask. See it? Right there. He's got him right there. Good call by the officials. Fortunately, no one's hurt.
Well, USC will have good field position, leading by a couple of touchdowns. Arizona State's last win in this series, 1996. Right now, they trail 17-3. And our 1st and 10 line is brought to you by Home Depot. And USC will take over 1st and 10 from their own 30-yard line. They have been impressive on offense so far tonight. They have done everything in the rhythm that has led them to this 4-game win streak.
9.2 yards per play thus far for USC on offense.
In the I formation, straight ahead running with Fargas. You can hear the pass popping up here. Gets up to about the 34-yard line. Now Carson Palmer, back in September. Gets Mike Williams. This was last year. He is just so steady, and the improvement of him, the improvement of this man, the confidence he's getting, because better players are also surrounding him. I think that's also the key.
Yeah, I think 2 years in the same system for that guy is a luxury. Hasn't really had it. 3 different offensive coordinators in 5 seasons.
Throws the rope over the middle, almost picked off a dangerous pass. Joey Smith had it in his hands and lost it.
Terrell Suggs, we haven't called his name very often. Wonder if he's getting a little frustrated as he makes the pass rush. Ball's gone. Carson Palmer just handed the ball off inside. Not even part of the play. He levels Carson Palmer going through anyway. Carson's got to make sure he keeps his head on a swivel.
Oh, I'm telling you, he needed to look out of that left ear hole there to see where he's coming from. This will bring up a 3rd down and 5 situation for the men of Troy. Palmer 3-step drop, quick look in, complete to Kareem Kelly. 1st down, USC.
And that's what
Arizona State coaches were very concerned about. They said that Carson Palmer throws the best three-step drop, or from the three-step drop, than probably anybody in college football.
And you mentioned earlier that for Arizona State, they were concerned because Darrell Lightfoot was going out of the game, and he's one of their best short route runners, quick game guys. Well, Kareem Kelly is pretty darn good in the quick game. And while he's been supplanted as the go-to guy this year by Mike Williams, Kareem Kelly, that was his 45th straight game with a catch.
That's right.
Now he's approaching a national record. He and Keenan Lowry at Oregon.
Keenan had the record at 45, played one more game than Kareem Kelly did. Another pass by Carson Palmer complete to Alex Holmes, the tight end, and Jason Shivers lining them up. And here's what they're doing to Suggs a couple of plays ago.
See, Alex Holmes, number 81, went out on the pattern, but that's Justin Fargas, the tailback. Faking high, going low. You don't have to actually get the guy down, but you want to get his hands down to get him out of the passing lanes. And also, if you just occupy him, that allows the play to be run without him disrupting it.
6 yards.
How many tailbacks do you know that go out there and stick their head right in the right between the 4 and 8 and then drop down and cut him down? That's a good job of blocking by Justin Fargas.
Not against somebody the caliber of Suggs. You kind of do a little matador kind of thing, you know?
That just shows USC the many ways they're having to block that guy.
Fargas, right side, gets the first down, and he is just showing us some power. You know, some of you may remember, and there's about half of our crew that do, Justin Fargas, his father. Those of us old enough remember him as Huggy Bear.
Huggy Bear.
Huggy Bear.
Starsky and Hutch.
That's right. When Starsky needed info, he went to Huggy Bear.
Yeah, when they needed the deal, and Hug. Now, is that a serious hat or what?
The shoes were the best of that. That's when he had the goldfish in his shoes.
Did he have the glad, like Frenchy Fuqua?
Frenchy Fuqua shoes.
Of football fame with the goldfish in them. There they are. Look at the goldfish swimming in them. Look at the goldfish there.
They don't let Justin wear those shoes while he's playing, my friends. They keep it on the ground again, getting inside the 40. Again, it is Fargas down to the 37-yard line. But here's a young man, Justin Fargas, the senior, went to the University of Michigan. He was a much heralded recruit. Things just didn't work out there. He came here, sat out last year, just dying to play. Let me get in. Then he comes into a situation where there were a bunch of tailbacks.
And he pulled a hamstring the week of the opener against Auburn. He was scheduled to be the starting tailback. Missed that game, and it took him a while to hit his stride. But just a couple of weeks ago, a big ball game, 139 yards on the ground.
Colbert in motion. Pass complete inside the 30 down to the 28-yard line. And it is Keary Colbert on the reception. Here is Erin Andrews.
Okay, Ron, well, you and Charles mentioned Justin Fargas been through with the injuries. Well, now he's seeking a 6th year of eligibility from the NCAA. Now, although he doesn't appear to meet this criteria, typically a 6th year is granted when an athlete misses 2 seasons of competition within a 5-year period because of extraordinary circumstances. Fargas only missed 1 season due to injury. Last year, he sat out because of transfer rules, but he and his dad, like you just showed him, said he and his son will meet with USC officials at the end of the season. They know it's a long shot, but they're still going to try.
Thanks, Aaron. Malifo McKenzie got a 6-year of eligibility because he met that criteria. USC's hoping to do it again with Justin Fargas.
Well, Palmer's going to be dropped at the 32-yard line, and it is Terrell Suggs. He hooked up with Qua Win, the defensive tackle out of Tucson, Arizona.
Take a look. Winston Justice, number 74, the freshman, tries to cut him that time but misses. And you see the result when you miss Terrell Suggs. He makes plays. You've got to make sure that you get a good piece of him. If you're going to cut it, you've got to get into his legs. You can't, just lunge at him and hope. And Winston Justice, a true freshman, is an excellent offensive lineman, but Terrell Suggs, a little bit older right now, a little more experience. It's going to be a big battle tonight for both of them.
And we talked at the top of the show about they've got to keep an eye on him and account for him. 2nd down, running play up to the 30-yard line. Again, it is Fargas getting the majority of the carries again tonight. You know, one of the things about this USC offense, when you look at it, they're not risking much to get the points, it doesn't seem.
And that's a great point. They don't have to go into, 5 guys in a pattern and don't have to worry about, no one pass blocking, just heave it up there and hope. Their offense is being run so crisply now that Norm Chow and Pete Carroll can go to any bag of tricks. You see Kennedy Pola, the running backs coach, who does such a great job with USC's running backs and special teams. He's got to like what he sees right now out of Justin Fargas.
Now Fargas and McKenzie in the I formation. They bubble it out to the left side to McKenzie, looking for some running room inside the 25 down to the 23-yard line. Maybe a pickup of 4 on the play. Solomon Bates with his 5th tackle already tonight.
Another one of the plays that USC's run tonight. Good job by Justin Fargas helping on the pass protection. Nothing downfield. Dump it off to McKenzie, who gets upfield. Allows USC to set up for a field goal attempt.
And they're going to have to. It'll be spotted at about the 32-yard line. It'll be a 42-yard attempt by Ryan Killeen. Ball's down, kick, got the foot, and it's got the towards.
41-yard field goal.
Officially, it's a 41-yard field goal by Ryan Killeen, and USC able to up their lead. They are number 8 in the country. They lead it by 17. USC by 17, and hey, check out what's coming to TBS.
He went from Chicago's finest to the city's most wanted.
Locker, you have no way out of here unless you surrender.
Samuel L. Jackson, Kevin Spacey, The Negotiator. Sunday, 8 Eastern, only on TBS Superstation.
How can you lose with Spacey and Jackson?
You don't.
I'd take Jackson. I'd give Spacey some shots on the course. That's what I would do.
Give him a few aside.
We'd give him a few. Josh Golden does the wise thing and takes a knee again.
ASU, 1st and 10 from the 20.
TBS Big Play Saturday, brought to you by T-Mobile. With T-Mobile, you get more from life. Get more minutes, more features, more service. And by the Home Depot, driving down the cost of home improvement. And we welcome you back to the Los Angeles Coliseum. A beautiful night here in L.A. USC number 8 in the country. Still hoping for an outside chance of going to the Rose Bowl. Washington State idle today. They're 1 win away from securing the Pac-10 title. USC right behind. Important game for the Trojans. Andrew Walters' pass high, incomplete, intended for Sean McDonald, the fine wide receiver out of Phoenix. That's a nice young man. Had a chance to spend some time with him last night. You know, he came into the game with 71 receptions, already an Arizona State record. This is a young man that they list him 5'9". No. He had Huggy Bear shoes on when they did that.
Yeah, they put some lifts in his shoes when we saw him yesterday. He's about 5'7". But when you catch 71 balls for over 1,200 yards coming into tonight, it doesn't matter what your height is.
He is a player. On 2nd and 10. Walder has the pocket collapse, throws it up for grabs, and it'll be incomplete, intended for Justin Taplin. Darrell Rideau, the cornerback, step for step. Sean McDonald can break an ankle or make you pull a hamstring with some of his moves.
And you don't even have to be on the field. You just watch it on tape. We saw him make, double, triple moves last week against Cal. And this guy knows how to get to the end zone in a hurry. Had a little bit of a slow start this season, but still 12 touchdowns thus far this year.
68-yard touchdown catch last week against Cal. 3rd down and 10. Here comes the pressure, and Walder is going to be dropped. 2nd sack of the night for the Trojans. Omar Nazel.
Coverage sack. Great coverage downfield. He's trying to get the ball across field on a shallow cross to number 18, Skylar Fulton, who tried to get lost in the wash in the middle of the field. But the coverage was excellent by USC all over. So he had to take the play. He ended up taking the sack, and now Arizona State trying to punt it out.
Tim Parker does a nice job, the wobbly kick. Carlson back at the 43-yard line, and he is not going to go anywhere. He will lose a couple of yards after the 45-yard kick. Good job by Tim Parker of Arizona State. Here's Erin Andrews.
Okay, Ron, well, it's homecoming here at USC, but already they're getting ready for next week's showdown against rival UCLA. Now, this week, USC wrapped up their famous statue, Tommy the Trojan, in duct tape. Now, they did it because whenever they meet USC, poor Tommy gets the raw end of the deal. Now, listen to this. In the past, he's been painted UCLA blue. He's had his sword stolen. He's been wrapped up in toilet paper. He even had a helicopter fly above him and dump fertilizer on him. Well, today they unveiled the statue, and now they have guards standing in front of him. And unless those Bruins pranksters can think of anything else, I think Tommy may be safe this year.
Well, we'll find out in a couple of days. Pass is complete to Keary Colbert. He scampers inside the 50 down to the 48-yard line. Problem with putting a duct tape on, Tommy's actually a real person. So he's in there now, and they're trying to find a way to get him out.
Well, they've cut a couple of air holes in. Oh, there's the real Tommy. All right, we're okay. We're okay.
Because of David Blaine on us there, right?
Exactly. But, you know, those kids. Remember the days when those mascot tricks were really part of the deal?
Yeah.
And then, unfortunately, a lot of them turned mean. Remember?
That's right.
Everybody used to capture the mascot and, paint the school colors. But once it turned mean, it became a different game, and that's very unfortunate.
Well, 1st and 10 for the Trojans inside Arizona State territory. Carson Palmer looking deep, has a man down the right side. Incomplete, intended for Williams. Williams got a step on the defense.
I wonder about his ankle. They talked about he had a bad left ankle coming into the game. Let's see how he does running. See him working here. Good job using his body. Not quite able to get there. I wonder if he has enough push. You know what I mean? Coming with that ankle there to continue to have the normal top speed that he usually exhibits. You saw him running that pattern.
He's got a little hitch there, it looks like.
A little hitch in the giddy up.
But you know what makes him so good? He's got that separation from the line of scrimmage. He explodes out of the line of scrimmage. That allows him to get that extra step on the defender. In this case, it was Mike Davis, the true freshman out of L.A.
And you notice how physical he was with Mike Davis. It was very subtle. He kind of gave him just a short little stop before he went on the pattern, a little push, and off he went.
Well, last night, the Los Angeles Lakers had a very exciting game. And the hero in the last minutes and in overtime was none other than Robert Horry, and he is with our Craig Sager. Craig?
Well, Robert Horry, obviously the Lakers are struggling right now. A battle for last place. You got to go overtime to defeat Golden State. What's the state of the Lakers right now?
We're improving. We're having some tough times right now. We got a lot of injuries. With Devin George being out and with Samaki being suspended, that's kind of hurting us because we have no depth, but we're going to be all right.
You didn't mention Shaquille O'Neal. When's he coming back?
We don't know, We just want him to get totally healthy. We want him out there 50%, 60%. We want him 110% when he get out there so he won't be injured again, some freak accident.
You'll be honored at halftime as one of the champions from the city of Los Angeles along with the Anaheim Angels. You a baseball fan?
Huge baseball fan.
You go to any of the games?
I went to 3 games. So I was there with the chairman with 3 wins.
What impressed you about Anaheim? I mean, after finishing in last place a year ago, getting off to a 6-14 start, suddenly they're the world champs.
I think the love that they have for one another, that's what a lot of people don't realize. When you love your teammate, you respect your teammate, you play well together.
Were you an Angel fan?
No, actually I'm a Mets fan.
Mets fan. Well, nothing against Mo Vaughn, but if they wouldn't have traded for Kevin Appier, they probably wouldn't have won it all. So you root for Appier?
Yeah, root for Appier. Anybody who would play for the Mets, I root for them. But I'm also an Astros fan also, so I can't rule out the Astros.
All right, thanks. Let's go back to front.
Well, at halftime, they'll be honoring Robert Horry, Lisa Leslie, Tim Salmon, Brad Fulmer of the Anaheim Angels, and all the L.A. champions. Carson Palmer's pass is tipped by Nick Johnson, the true freshman out of Chandler, Arizona. This is a young man that's only 18 years old, and you can see greatness written all over him.
And he's learning from one of the best with Terrell Suggs being on the roster.
Well, fans, check out our instant poll results. Is ASU the most surprising team in the Pac-10 this season? 58% of you say yes. 42% of you say no. I think it's between Arizona State and Cal, wouldn't you say?
I would have to say yes on that one because of their seasons last year, especially Cal being 1-10. Their only win over Rutgers, who's one of the worst teams in the NCAA. So, I mean, the job that Jeff Tedford and Dirk Cutter have done with their respective teams, extraordinary.
On 3rd and 10, Palmer's pass, short hop. Looks like he may have tried to hold up throwing it, but it looked like it was intended for Malaifu McKenzie or Kareem Kelly. It was one or the other.
Had to look like he thought someone was going to zig, and they zagged. And then as he tried to call it back, it was too late.
Well, he's still having an excellent night. He has led this Trojan offense to 20 points, and they're going to be forced to kick it away. Malone standing on his own 39-yard line.
Arizona State a little jumbled in their punt return team. Didn't have the right personnel in, took a timeout.
That's what we talked about, fine-tuning this time of year. 2:14 left in the quarter. Let's check in with Ernie Johnson.
Tonight's pre-play is created with NCAA Football 2003 from EA Sports. It's in the game. Here's next week's pre-play. Oklahoma leading Texas Tech 14-10 when Tech's Cliff Kings
Now log on to EASports.com and cast your vote on the outcome of next week's game. And be sure to join us at 7 o'clock Eastern to find out the real outcome. EA Sports, it's in the game. Let's take a look at some scores. How about Texas Tech? You know, wow. Mac Brown doesn't have to worry about the BCS anymore. You know, he's talking about it all this week. Forget about it. You know, 42-38, Texas Tech. Great win. Oklahoma taking care of Baylor. And
you knew that was going to happen after last week with Oklahoma getting upset. Poor Baylor and Kevin Steele. You know, they had no shot at that one today. A very angry Oklahoma team led by Bob Stoops.
Keep an eye on USC here. Is Carson Palmer on the phone? Would this be a time for a fake? They have McKenzie up. Malone set to kick it away, but he's going to take it. Looking for the corner, and he booms it again. My goodness.
Hasn't quite got the touchdown yet.
No, he's got the gumption. The gumption's there. 47 yards on the kick officially.
True freshman who has a great leg, and he's going to be something to watch by the time he's a junior and a senior.
And Arizona State now with 2:06 to work with. How important is it for them to at least establish something, maybe not even score? Obviously you want to do that, and coaches say, well, there's no moral victories. I have a feeling there might be one here.
Well, they need to get it out of the shadow of their own goalposts on their own 20. They don't want USC to get a quick 3 and out, use their timeouts, and get the ball back to make one last drive.
Well, they keep it on the ground when Williams over the 30 up to the 32-yard line, and a penalty flag comes flying in from the 40. Troy Polamalu with his first tackle of the night. And Troy got a little more than just Mike Williams.
Yeah, that'd be the 5-yard face mask there. No personal foul indicated. The 43 Polamalu.
Incidental face mask on the defense. 5-yard penalty into the run.
Yeah. Then he got face mask, but remember, when they're going at full speed, these poor officials, they're doing a great job out there.
How can you see?
You know, it sure looks like it off the initial. And on replay, well, we get the benefit of that. They don't.
1st and 10 now for the Sun Devils. Having an excellent season after going 4-7 last year, 7-4 this year. It's complete. Over the 45 to Justin Taplin. Taplin, the former big-time recruit, now in his senior year, has excellent hands.
Running a hurry-up variety of offense here. It's not super fast, but they're coming right to the line of scrimmage, no huddle. USC now 2 safeties back and shifting up to 1 safety deep.
Pocket starts to collapse, but not before Walter gets rid of it. Pass is complete to Hagan, the true freshman. We are closing in on 1:37 to play in the first half. Now stick around for our Chili's halftime. Ernie will be at the Big Game House catching you up on all of today's action. A great game. Ohio State today pulling one out. Texas Tech beating Texas. The big win by Georgia. Ernie will have it all coming up at halftime.
Think Ernie will want to lead with the Georgia win?
I think he will. Arizona State has called a timeout. Next week, of course, Texas Tech and Texas. Let's take a look at the Big 12 South. So what it comes down to, Oklahoma wins, it's all over. Texas Tech wins, look at the tie.
Yeah, and so help me out with that, my partner.
Well, Texas
Tech beats Oklahoma and they finish 5-2 with Texas, the tiebreaker goes to Texas Tech because your first tiebreaker is head-to-head.
And they beat Texas
and they beat Oklahoma head-to-head. Texas head-to-head would come into the second one, but that would do it. The Red Raiders would go to the championship game in Houston on December the 7th. Wouldn't that be something?
It would be remarkable. Texas, very disappointing. Obviously, they started to regroup after that loss on October 12th to Oklahoma. Seemed like they had kicked their offense and defense into another gear, had some good, impressive road wins, and now they stumble, and it's on to some other bowl now.
Yeah, a lot of credit has to go to Mike Leach and Texas Tech today, getting it done. As we take a look at the quarterbacks tonight, numbers are similar, but the big one is, of course, 2 touchdowns to 0.
Carson Palmer very efficient tonight. Walter on 2nd down has plenty of time, throws it low, passes complete. That should be good enough for a first down to Derek Hagan. 3 catches already tonight for Hagan.
To beat the defense that USC is playing right now, your wide receivers have to beat their corners and nickelbacks one-on-one on routes between 10 and 15 yards so that the safety over the top can't become active in the play.
Here comes the blitz. SC bringing a bunch. Walter throws it out of the flat. Pass is complete. Sean McDonald, the receiver, and that is his first catch of the night.
And we've seen him run the ball a couple of times. They brought the receiver in motion and handed off to him once, and then once on a reverse.
Pickup of 8 on the play for the Politnikov semifinalists, and you can see what he did last week versus Cal. 5 100-yard receiving games this year.
Enjoyed meeting him last night, too, at the hotel. See the safeties back deep. One will come up, and one will rotate deep.
Williams spins once, spins twice. Second one got him. Grudegood made the first hit on Williams, and then Darrell Rideau coming up from that cornerback spot.
See the call coming in. Chad Christensen, number 10, the backup quarterback, signaling to Andrew Walter.
And, of course, Christensen really started fall practice as the #1 quarterback.
He emerged from the spring and lost his job by the 5th game of this year.
Quick look-in pass is complete down to the 24-yard line. Another first down and another catch by Hagan. 4 tonight. This is the offense that got Arizona State 34 points a game.
USC has been playing loose on this drive. Don't be surprised if Pete Carroll switches up now and brings a little more heat towards Andrew Walter.
Final 46 seconds. Here they come with the heat. They pick it up. Walter going into the end zone. Has a man tipped away at the last second. Marcel Allman and Troy Polamalu were right there. They closed quickly as the ball hung up in the air.
See the two guys coming on the blitz on the top side, and they hit him just as Andrew Walter's delivering the ball. Makes me wonder if it took just enough off of the pass that allowed the defensive backs to get there. See the closing? Marcel Allman, number 8, knocking it away. Getting some help from Troy Polamalu, number 43.
Good defensive double team.
Saw the receiver threw a shoe at the end of the play, too.
Blow it tired. McDonald in motion. 36 seconds left. The pump fake. Walter looking for an end zone. Wide open. Touchdown, Arizona State's McDonald.
Touchdown, Sun Devils.
24th career touchdown reception for Sean McDonald. He was so wide open, though, Charles.
It's hard to believe because you would figure that you would find number 81 and account for him. And I think what happened was a couple of guys ran patterns away from Flo, and Sean McDonald was able to slip out behind them.
Mike Barth for the extra point. Perfect so far this year. And he remains that way, 42 of 42.
Take a look, motion guy right there. Now let's see what happens with him on the pattern. Just a blown coverage. No question about it. The corner sucked in on the receiver running an inside curl route. McDonald able to get to the sideline. Watch. See right there. That's where the corner went, and McDonald's behind him. Corner hugged himself up on Derek Hagan, number 80. McDonald able to slip behind. Perfect ball by Walter. Touchdown, Arizona State.
Well, 9 plays. They were inside of 2 minutes on the drive. It doesn't take them long to score this Arizona State team. They averaged, like we mentioned earlier, 221 per drive on scoring drives. And that was probably a huge boost for this Arizona State Sun Devil team.
And if they can go into the locker room now without giving up another score with just 31 seconds to go, that's a huge motivator for Arizona State because they couldn't get a lot. They didn't get a lot done in the first half on offense. And now they'll have a good feeling as they go in and regroup and make their adjustments.
They have 190 yards offense compared to about 260 for USC so far in the first half with 31 seconds left. Allman and Justin Fargas back at about the 5-yard line. Low driving kick, and that'll be out of the end zone.
Kickoff goes out of the end zone.
Greg Parati with the kick, and USC will take over on their own 20-yard line. Leading 20-10. Now, if you're Carson Palmer, you've got a senior quarterback, field position not all that great. You play it safe.
Well, I think what a lot of teams do is they run the ball first, and if they get a good gain out of it, then it changes their thinking about throwing the ball. With Carson Palmer being a senior, you are more willing to gamble in this situation and maybe put one up initially, see how that goes, and then if that doesn't work very well, you take a knee and get out of there. Let's see what strategy Norm Chow picks.
130 yards, a couple of touchdowns tonight for Carson Palmer. Believe us, my friends, he should be one of, if not the leading contender for the Heisman Trophy. Those on the East Coast better take notice of this young man. And there's the running play, just like you said. Justin Fargas able to get about 7 on the play.
And they're not hustling around, so I think they're willing to let this clock run out and take a 10-point lead into the locker room.
That's exactly what they're going to do. So USC took advantage of an Arizona State fumble early in the ball game to take a 7-0 lead. They opened up the lead 20-3. Arizona State closing it here in the closing minutes of quarter number 2. And
from 8 yards out, 23-16. Would Illinois have an answer? John Butcher, his pass knocked away, and Ohio State is 12-0 for the first time ever. 23-16 winners over Illinois in overtime. So Ohio State still has a chance, very much alive for the national championship, a chance to get in that game at least. They have to play Michigan in the final week of the season. Now the championship hopes of Texas are gone. They got a hold of Texas Tech today, and Cliff Kingsbury turned them every which way but loose. Meantime, Ron Thulin giving everybody, and especially me, a hard time about going to Georgia and maybe giving the Dogs some preferential treatment today in their win over Auburn. We will have 14 minutes of highlights of that game still to come on the Chili's halftime report today, and Larry Johnson running wild today for Penn State. We'll be back.
Welcome to the Chili's Halftime Report, the halftime show like no other.
Okay, let's say this is your car and you get into an accident. Oh boy. If you take it to an Allstate recommended repair shop, they'll fix it, so you're pretty happy. You're like, woohoo, I'm pretty happy. Even better, Allstate guarantees the workmanship for as long as you own the car, which means if even the smallest thing goes wrong, you don't have to pay for it. So you're still happy. You're like, woohoo, I'm still happy. So there you go, the Allstate Lifetime Repair Guarantee. Call for yourself and find out how the right hands make all the difference.
That's the Big Game House, where we spend all of our Saturdays. My name is Ernie Johnson, and we have more highlights to show you. Next week, by the way, is our finale of Big Play Saturday. And what a game we have. Texas Tech taking on Oklahoma, a game which is for the Big 12 South Championship. And that's all because of what happened today as Texas Tech knocked off. And how about you, Texas Tech? 8-4 and 5-2 in the Big 12, 42-38 winners today. Kansas State moves to 9-2 on the year. All over Nebraska today. L. Roberson going 91 yards here. The only longer run ever against the Nebraska defense was Gale Sayers back in 1963. Roberson went for 228 yards on the ground today. And special teams getting it done. Carlos Elsop blocks the Nebraska punt. Jared Johnson for the score. And the Wildcats of Kansas State, 49-13 over Nebraska. The Cornhuskers 3-4 now in the Big 12. The Big 12 scoreboard looks like this. Oklahoma all over Baylor, 49-9. Quentin Griffin, 152 yards and 4 touchdowns. Colorado is trying to clinch the Big 12 North tonight. They have a 17-14 lead over Iowa State. Missouri in double overtime got a Brad Smith touchdown in OT to win it. He also threw for a couple. And Josh Fields of Oklahoma State, 354 yards and a school record 6 touchdowns as the Cowboys beat Kansas 55-20. Iowa and Minnesota today. Brad Banks, top rated quarterback in the country, 11 yards. He ran for 2 and he passed for 2 today. Right now he's going to hit Maurice Brown for 31 yards. And Iowa is 11-1. Could be a rosy bowl future for Iowa. Well, they need some help. They'd love to see Ohio State fall to Michigan next week. Meantime, Penn State and Indiana. Larry Johnson. We're going to show you how he can go left to right on your screen here for 69 yards and a touchdown. And then, of course, how versatile he is. He can also go right to left on your television screen. 43 yards here. He had a 327-yard day
breaks Lydell Mitchell's single-season rushing mark of Penn State. Also had 4 touchdowns in Penn State's 58-25 win over Indiana. Back with more on the Chili's halftime report, including those Georgia highlights, in just a minute.
Jack Daniel's Original Hard Cola, a premium malt beverage as unique as the people who drink it. Come as you are.
You know that I love my Chili's, Chili's with spice, so nice. Oh, baby,
There's a place where the flame-grilled ribeye is seasoned with garlic and herbs, where the new mashed potatoes are loaded with aged cheddar and crisp bacon, and where everything has
Time title. They beat Auburn 24-21. That's it for the Chili's halftime report. See y'all.
Thanks for watching the Chili's halftime report, the halftime show like no other.
Saturday as we close it out with Texas Tech and Oklahoma playing for the Big 12 South title, followed by Austin Powers. Let's find out about tonight's movie bowl, shall we, with Matt and Cherie.
Thanks, Ernie. I'm Matt Arden.
And I'm Cherie Christian.
And after the
30 minutes of football left to be played at the LA Coliseum in Los Angeles, the number 8 Trojans of USC leading the Arizona State Sun Devils 20-10. And just a couple of moments ago, they honored the champions of Los Angeles, including Lisa Leslie right there of the Los Angeles Sparks, Robert Horry of the Lakers, Tim Salmon, Brad Fulmer of the Anaheim Angels, and Peter Vagenas of the MLS Galaxy. We still have football ahead, not baseball. USC has something to cheer about.
Leads the Pac-10 in time of possession, average about 33 minutes per ball game. And if they're doing that tonight, they're eating a lot of clock, and that allows their defense to get rest, which Arizona State doesn't want to happen.
And we are set. Arizona State will kick it away to begin quarter number 3. Now, this is the quarter that both teams are outstanding in, especially Arizona State offensively. It is of the utmost importance, you would think, to get a stop here in this first drive for the Trojans. Marcel Ullman from the 5. Fargas checked that, and he gets up to the 27-yard line. Let's check in with Craig Sager.
Well, Dirk Cutter's message in the locker room at halftime was mostly directed at his defense. He said, don't stand around looking for Terrell Suggs to make the play every time. They're keying on him. There's guys out here that can make plays. Go out and do it yourself and stop relying on Terrell. Then offensively, he said, they're keying on Sean McDonald. We have offensive players that also can make plays. Even though Daryl Lightfoot is out, somebody make a play. We're in this game. They're a good team, but that last touchdown was huge. We're back in this game. Huh?
All right, Craig. That's exactly right. He hit it on the head with his team. Let's see if Carson Palmer can get back into the rhythm. And you talked about Pete Carroll at the halftime. Justin Fargas falls forward up above the 30. We got a fumble. Looks like Arizona State has it. The officials are talking about it. And now it looks like it's going to be USC's ball. Fargas had it, lost it momentarily. Dirk Cutter said, hey, it should be our ball.
Take a look as Fargas goes through, twisting. Let's see where he goes down and when the ball comes out. Knees down. See, there's the knee. Knee's already down. Let's see where the ball. Now you see the football. I think that his knee was down, and it was a good call. Dirk Cutter, of course, would argue because it was so close. Let's see. There's a bang play. Knee is hit right there. See, the knee's down. Now the ball is still possessed. Now the ball's out. I think it's a good call by the officials.
I think it is, too.
Dirk Cutter will argue it, of course, because he also is arguing that USC got a touchdown with a pass interference call on a ball that couldn't be caught. Remember that play?
That's right.
In the first half.
Well, now Joey Smith comes limping off, the redshirt freshman out of Phoenix from that safety spot, and they can ill afford to lose anybody in that defensive backfield. This is a team that lost 2 cornerbacks before the season even started the surgery. Now they have the possibility of losing another one back there. Fargas. Boy, he hit the hole so quickly, and Jason Shivers out of Phoenix, Arizona, just a sophomore, had to come up to make the stop. You look at Shivers, in this scheme that Brent Guy, the defensive coordinator for Arizona State, runs, isn't he the prototypical safety for this scheme?
Perfect. Watch Shivers coming up to make the play. Free safety, got to come up, make the tackle all the time. Because in the 4-2-5, the free safety is the quarterback of the defense. Makes all the checks and calls and has to be a sure, aggressive tackler because oftentimes the play is funneled towards him. And Jason Shivers fits the bill.
1st and 10 from the 38-yard line. Nice ball fake by Palmer. Throws it out of the flat, complete to his tight end. Up to about the 44-yard line, it's Alex Holmes again, the junior out of Sherman Oaks, California. Young man should be in pretty good shape. Works out with Eric Dickerson. It's not a bad workout partner.
No, not at all. And you know, I've seen Eric in recent years.
Yeah.
Still looks like he can carry the mail.
I work out with Norm. Cheers. You know, we've got the same workout regime there.
Well, I always want to work out, and then I lie down until that thought goes away, and I'm all right.
You get over it quickly.
I get over it in a hurry.
Shivers on a tackle. He's got 8 already in the ball game. He is having a yeoman's work night. 2nd down and short. Not what Arizona State had been hoping for, but their defense up to the challenge. Fargas again, and it'll be 3rd down.
They cut the tape off the ankle. Yeah. You know, it was an ankle or leg injury for Joey Smith.
You know, they lost Lamar Baker, cornerback, with a groin surgery, and then Emmanuel Franklin was scheduled at the other cornerback spot before the season. He had to have surgery to relieve pressure on his brain, and Dirk Cutter said, we are very, very thin. Couple that with the fact they're young. You can't afford to lose anybody.
Yeah, you have to move people around. Also hurts you in practice. You don't have enough guys to take repetitions, so they get tired. They have to take all the reps.
Straight ahead running, 1st down to USC. Fargas again. R.J. Oliver coming up from that cornerback spot to make the stop.
You notice that you're calling a number of defensive backs making plays early. And it's okay if you're calling Jason Shivers' name or any of the strong safeties, Alfred Williams. Now, Joey Smith's out, so, you know, they had to rotate someone else in there. But those are the guys that they don't mind making the tackles. They've moved Matt Foley, number 19, into the game as another strong safety. But the corners are not the guys they want making a number of tackles in this scheme.
1st and 10, on the ground again, Fargas bangs his way close to the 40-yard line, and Matt Foley out of Pierce High School in Richardson, Texas, former high school All-American on the stop. This is a good young man, good-looking young player, 4'5", 40. He's got some speed.
Watch Foley, number 19, come up and play off of the block. There's Keary Colbert, number 83, runs through Colbert and moves inside, what they call falls inside, and makes a tackle on Justin Fargas. That's a good-looking play for a young man who just last year was playing high school football. He began the year as a starter before breaking his arm against Stanford. Now he's making his return.
Now setting up about 8 yards deep. Fargas in motion. Colbert. Sultan Mccullough stacked right at the line of scrimmage, and he is dropped. May have gotten a yard out of the play. Good job by Mason Unk, the senior linebacker out of Ogden, Utah. You know, you take off the helmet on Mason Unk, looks like Tom Colbert, former NBA player. Unfortunately, he looks like Tom Colbert. I'm just kidding. There he is. Doesn't it look like Colbert?
Yeah, you know, got to give it to you there.
Got a little Tom Colbert about him.
Yeah, got to give it to Mason Unk. He's one of those seniors who stayed the course here through the tough times. He's playing this season as a graduate student. Talk about what it's all about in college football. Got his degree already.
Here comes the rush. Palmer reads it. Pass incomplete. Intended for Kareem Kelly. And that'll bring up a 4th down. And Pete Carroll can't believe it. He wanted a flag. He's not going to get it.
I think he wanted, I believe, Brett Hudson, number 2, the big guy, was hugged up. Let's take a look here. There's Hudson, number 2. Let's see what he does out on the corner with Kelly. Yes. Now,
yes.
Listen, I've said it a million times already this year. I'm a former defensive back, so I don't like those flags anyway. But fair is fair, and the rule is if the ball's in the air, you can't have your hands on the offensive player.
Keep an eye on the fake. Not this time. Malone looks for the corner. Not going to get quite what he wanted. And we do have a penalty flag at the 40-yard line. Well, we're going to hold everything up a little bit. Dirk Cutter saying, let's just get the football. 22 yards on the kick. It's against USC. Arizona State will decline it.
They just want the ball. They don't want to take a
Illegal
risk.
formation on the offense. 6 players on the line of scrimmage. Penalties declined. First down.
You know, we talk about how potent this Arizona State offense is. USC defense also potent in quarter number 3. We'll take a quick break. Arizona State needs to do something offensively. They trail in the game. Arizona State has come back from second half deficits in 4 games. Try to make it 5. And our first and 10 line is brought to you by Home Depot. Arizona State will have the ball first and 10 from their own 19-yard line. They got the stop they needed in the first drive of USC in quarter number 3. Looks like Joey's going to get things taped up and get back in.
The report is that they were looking at the bottom of his foot when they were examining him. They've retaped him, and he's going to walk around, jog around, give it a try.
Once again, Darrell Lightfoot, the sophomore, the excellent wide receiver of Arizona State, is out with a shoulder injury. The reverse to McDonald. USC reads it quite well. He scampers over the 20 up to about the 22-yard line. Well, Arizona State did have 190 yards in that opening half, but here's what happened. And when that fumble really got him, because USC took the 7-0 lead after that.
And they talked about getting a quick start, but as you see, the first 3 possessions, punt, fumble, punt, before they got a field goal, and then 2 more empty possessions before they got the touchdown to end the half.
Well, they want to be aggressive in their play calling because Andrew Walter allows them to do that. He's a very smart young man. Pass incomplete. Here come the flags. There's a couple of them.
And Dirk Cutter on the sidelines is saying, finally, a call going our way.
Troy Polamalu is going to be the culprit on this one.
As soon as the play happened, I wondered to myself if there would be a flag, and it seemed to take a little while before it came out.
Pass interference on the defense. Automatic first down, spot of the foul.
Well, one official was trying to grab his flag, just couldn't find it.
Watch him here. He's just going to come up and go right through the receiver. Ooh, that's a close one. That's a close one.
He is one of the most exceptional young men you will ever meet, Troy Polamalu. He's an All-American, was as a junior, very humble young man, has been fighting the ankle injury he got in the Washington State game, and he is just a true warrior out there. But aside from that, he is a wonderful person off the field.
A terrific young man.
Automatic first down for Arizona State. Walter fakes, throws right, nothing doing. Nice job defensively by DeShaun Hill, the senior out of Long Beach, California, coming up to put the stop on Mike Carding. Well, you may have seen it here on TBS, but this is when Troy hurt his ankle.
Against Washington State, he got a little overextended, very awkward on making the play. See, I got overextended right there, the right ankle, and he came to the sidelines, and they worked on him for a long time, and that young man actually went back into the game in certain situations. You mentioned he was a warrior. He showed it that day.
Here comes the blitz. Walter reads it well. Pass complete up to the 35-yard line to Skylar Fulton, the junior out of Olympia, Washington, who does a little part-time work in baseball. Drafted a couple of times, most recently by the Yankees this year.
And he's really started to help them in the pass game. Skylar Fulton has. And Troy Polamalu, we just showed you his ankle injury. We just saw something you don't see very often, a missed tackle.
That's right.
By Troy. But Pete Carroll told us changing direction still gives him a little bit of trouble with the ankle in its weakened condition.
Third down for the Sun Devils. And Andrew Walter is going to do a wise thing. Doesn't like what he sees. Going to call the timeout. And we'll do likewise. Dirk Cutter's team not far off on the move in L.A. Big third down for the Sun Devils. 3rd and 3. 3-step drop. Walter looking, passing complete. First down to Derek Hagan. Up over the 45 to about the 47-yard line. There we saw Andrew Walter's arm strength. He had that on a rope, Charles.
And a great job by the offensive line, the much maligned offensive line, because Andrew Walter was sacked 6 times last week against Cal. Great job giving him time to throw the ball on a rope. Good combination route. Hagan curling inside, McDonald running outside. Big first down.
USC brings 5. Walter reads it again. Complete down to the 25-yard line. Shaun McDonald, his 3rd reception of the night. You talk about Andrew Walter's solid maturity. 2 words you have to use. He shows them here with a great read.
Take a look here. Here's Shaun McDonald. I think he's going to run a little stop and go going downfield and just worked inside. Just gave this kind of a little appearance that he was going to slow down and then worked to the inside of the defender. Ball was thrown, and what an adjustment by McDonald. Working back outside to make an excellent catch.
On 1st and 10, Walter pump fakes again, looking down the middle. Incomplete. Dangerous pass intended for Shaun McDonald. Watch the way, though, Shaun McDonald is able to adjust on this.
Yeah, because this is our all-state replay from the end zone cam. Works inside on the defender, Darrell Rideau, and then makes an excellent adjustment back to the football outside. That is not easily done when you're running full speed.
2 200-yard receiving games this year for Shaun McDonald. First time in ASU history someone's been able to do that. 58 yards tonight. 2nd and 10, nothing doing. Mike Williams stood up by Mike Patterson. Here's Erin Andrews.
Well, you just saw an example of Shaun McDonald's great athletic ability. I'll tell you what, this guy has a lot of practice doing that. His family tree is rooted back to Trinidad, where his late grandfather played soccer and cricket before bringing up 9 children to New York for a better life. McDonald's cousins are pretty successful athletes, including Kings Michael Bibby, UCLA basketball player Ryan Walcott, and even Shaun's sister Tiffany is a former state champion hurdler who committed to Arizona. Shaun says nobody in his family likes to lose, and you can imagine those family picnics were pretty competitive.
Intercepted! DeShaun Hill! His first interception of the year. Not a well-thrown ball, obviously, by young Andrew Walter.
You wonder about the read here. Wonder if there's a miscommunication between quarterback and receiver. Hagan was the intended receiver, number 80, but the ball was thrown well beyond him. And DeShaun Hill came from center field. Again, the example of USC using a deep safety over the top to go make the interception. You see Andrew Walter very upset with himself for that interception.
That's only his 11th of the year. Now USC looking to strike. Palmer, straight drop. He's going for all the marbles. Has a man. Williams cannot stretch and get it. You hit it on the head in the first quarter. He just doesn't have that explosion like he has the last couple of games.
I really think the left ankle is the one that's bothering him. Look at him get off the line of scrimmage. You talked in the first half about how he can release off the line of scrimmage. He baseball rolled off of the line of scrimmage against Brett Hudson, and then was not able to pick up the speed. I know he's able to make plays out there, but I just don't think he has that final burst that he normally possesses. Otherwise, that one goes to the house for 6.
Only 1 catch tonight. Boy, he is outstanding. Fargas hops over 1 tackler, loses a yard. Solomon Bates coming up to make the stop. 6 tackles for Solomon Bates. This is a great story, Solomon Bates. Last year, coaches were not pleased with him. Quite frankly, he was out of shape, a little bit too much weight.
A little?
But yeah, a little. He dropped a couple pounds here and there. But this is a young man who they call football intelligent.
Very much so, and he's been that way since the day he hit campus. One of the top recruits in the country. He was an impact player as a freshman, but last year ballooned up over 260 pounds. Came to camp this year at 243. Could you tell he was serious about playing this season?
I'd say he was. On 3rd down. Palmer being rushed, steps up, looking, not going to get away. Nick Johnson, the true freshman from Chandler, Arizona, comes up with the 2nd sack of the night for the Sun Devils of Arizona State. That was a case of maybe holding the ball just a touch too long.
We saw that earlier this year in the Washington State game in overtime where Carson took a huge sack and ended up setting up a 52-yard field goal attempt. Alfred Williams, number 39, flushes him. And then Nick Johnson and Jimmy Verdon, two other defensive ends, finish off the play. USC has to punt from deep in their own territory, and Arizona State has accomplished one thing here, change field position.
Loss of 14 on the play. Sean McDonald back on the 35-yard line. Craig Sager talking about other guys making plays. Well, it gives them a little bit of room, but they are still, Arizona State will take over in USC territory. So Arizona State scratching and clawing. They're still in it.
Welcome back. The Trojans leading the Sun Devils 20-10. Well, we've been telling you all about USC's rich tradition. Did you know that their marching band is one of the most famous college marching bands in the nation? They're known as the Spirit of Troy or Hollywood's band. Why? Because they performed for 10 presidents. They've been in 5 movies, including Forrest Gump and Hello, Dolly. They've also been in numerous commercials and TV shows. We'll tell you a little more about what they do a little later on in the game, guys.
All right, they've also been on Johnny Carson's show, and he was on the air about 100 times, I think. They're always making guest appearances. Big possession for Arizona State, their best field position of the night. Pressure. Andrew Walter is clobbered right as he lets it go. Champ Simmons lowered the boom on him. Sean McDonald was the intended receiver, and Andrews going, let's count these ribs one at a time here. Watch this hit.
Champ Simmons coming from the top of the screen. You see Omar Nazel, 56. There's Simmons right in the middle. Good clean tackle, but very forceful. Sean McDonald was trying to get downfield and get inside position again as he did a few plays ago. Remember when he adjusted for the great catch? They were trying to hit the home run strike down the sidelines with great field position. They come back now 2nd and 10.
Well, let's see if it did any damage. Hardy in motion from the fullback slot. Play action again. Walter again going down.
Pollard.
3rd sack of the night for that USC defense.
See, if I'm Dirk Cutter here, and I know he doesn't need my advice, but personally, I don't even bother with play action. You know why? The running game hasn't really been in evidence all night long. Hasn't been in evidence in 5 or 6 games now. What was that stat? 60 yards rushing in their last 5 games coming into tonight. So why go play action there? Take an extra half second, you know? Go ahead and go back in the pocket and throw it.
Well, they're going the wrong way in USC. This time they bring 5. Line doing a great job. Almost picked off. Champ Simmons was right there. He needed to borrow Tim Salmon's glove. Boy, we short hop that bad boy.
USC, when you've got linebackers such as a Champ Simmons and a Matt Brudegood and Mike Pollard who can drop deep in coverage. Look at Simmons, 51. Look how deep he is off of the ball in coverage. When you have guys who can run like that and help you make plays, that really helps your pass defense.
The punt. Taken at about the 12, dropped immediately. Nothing doing for Greg Carlson. 37 yards on the kick, nothing on the return. CBS Big Play Saturday brought to you by Discover Card. It pays to discover. And by Wrangler and Wrangler's new 5-star premium denim jeans. Real, comfortable jeans. Along with Charles Davis, Craig Sager, Erin Andrews, I'm Ron Boone, welcoming you back to the LA Coliseum. 4:20 to play in the 3rd.
Penalties enforced half the distance to goal from the end of the kick. 1st down.
Well, we did have a little holding call on the kick. Half the distance, a little block in the back, half the distance. So USC now will take over with their backs to the wall.
And Arizona State feeling pretty good about their defense right now. They've had a couple of good series. They'd love to keep USC back here and continue to press the advantage of field position because they feel if they can keep them down on this end, it will eventually pay off for them.
Williams in motion. Keep it on the ground. Fargas stacked up. But you have to give kudos to this Arizona State defense.
What a great tackle by Jason Shivers, number 30, the free safety. All day long, he comes up and hits running backs for getting through holes. big-time hit.
You know, the scheme has great versatility, and then that's what you have to like about it. But Brent Guy's done a nice job of getting these guys to believe in the system.
And last year, they didn't really believe in it, and it cost them. You know, they had 3 linebackers who wanted to play, only 2 play in this scheme. He had to, he had to convince them to rotate in and out of the game. But now they've grasped onto it, and boy, they're believers.
Fargas again, up over the 10 to about the 12-yard line. Maybe picked up 2 on the play. Shane Jones, the junior out of Antelope, California, came underneath. The transfer out of Sacramento City College. So many different players are stepping up big time on this defense for Arizona State. You know, we talk about Suggs so much, but you can't forget about Shane Jones, Brian Montesano, Jimmy Verdon. These guys are really stepping up to the challenge.
And right now, this is one of their biggest challenges of the game. 3rd and 3. They can force another 3 and out here. They're taking momentum away from USC, and it gives the ball back to their offense.
The quick pass into the flat. Likely McKenzie, not much doing. He dropped back to the 10-yard line.
Great tackle by Matt Foley, the freshman safety. Read the play, came on a bullet, just like a bullet. Ball's going to come out here to the flat. Watch Foley come and make the tackle almost immediately. Excellent tackle. McKenzie didn't even get a chance to square up and turn upfield. Boom! Catches him so he has no momentum going upfield. Excellent tackle by the freshman strong safety.
He is an impressive young man. Now Malone is about 3 yards deep into his own end zone.
And you can see why Matt Foley earned a starting position in fall camp this year as a true freshman.
Oh my, Malone has boomed this. McDonald on the retreat. He'll pick it up at the 20. Looking for some running room. Can he get to the corner? He does. Here comes the wall, setting it up. Runs into his own man as he crosses the 40. Oh, my. Shaun looks at him to get out of my way. 69 yards on the kick. About 25 on the return.
And the best part about this, no one clipped. No one blocked anyone. And a good block there on Champ Simmons, number 51. And right there, he runs into his own guy. Runs right into number 4, Justin Taplin, a wide receiver. Otherwise, he may still be running.
That's right.
But you got to give a lot of credit on that play to Tom Malone, the punter. He helped change field position for USC. This is a lot better than what they anticipated. And let's see, look at Arizona State. They're on 39, starting average start position for this half. That's excellent field position for the Sun Devils.
Much better than it was in the first 30 minutes. Walter hit again as he releases, but the pass is complete to Taplin. And another first down for Arizona State. Well, fans, for exclusive news and recruiting coverage of your favorite teams, log on now to Rivals.com. Andrew Walter, just a sophomore out of Grand Junction, Colorado. He hung in there. Questioned whether or not he was even going to play this year. Thinking of transferring. Dirk Cutter met with Andrew and his parents, decided to stay, and this young man's proven a lot again tonight. On the ground. Williams tries to shake a couple of tackles, gets down to the 25-yard line. Pickup of about 7. 400-yard passing games are becoming commonplace for young Andrew Walter.
Guys had 4 of them already. Look at this. I mean, Cody Pickett, University of Washington, Jason Johnson, Arizona, Carson Palmer here at USC, and Jason Gesser at Washington State. Much more heralded guys. No one even really knew who Andrew Walter was coming into this season.
How about Jason Johnson today did?
Yes.
Big win for John McAvoy. Congratulations, Coach. Pump fake right, throwing left, looking in the end zone. Incomplete. Intended for Sean McDonald. Marcel Allman was there with him step for step. We have a penalty flag in the backfield. Could be holding.
I think they're going to get roughing the passer in the backfield against Andrew Walter. Beautiful, beautifully thrown ball. Marcel Allman on the coverage. Good coverage. McDonald had a chance to come down with it, but watch at the end of the play. Well after it, going for the legs.
That's
Omar Nazel. Andrew Walter is very fortunate he wasn't injured seriously on that play.
Roughing on the defense. Penalties enforced. Half of this is the goal. Automatic first down.
Here's Craig Sager.
Well, Ron, you guys have been talking about the ankle injury Troy Polamalu suffered back on October 5th against Washington State. He continues to play, but it's starting to give out. Twice in the last series, the trainers have started to come out on the field to talk to Polamalu. Both times he has waved them off, but it is starting to give out. You mentioned the fact that he goes north and south, but his lateral quickness is not there.
Keep us updated on that, Greg. Inside the 15-yard line, 1st and 10 for the Sun Devils. Final 50 seconds of the quarter. Walter looking, throwing this one up for grabs.
Good play by Andrew Walter. Nothing doing. Notice that with the arm strength you talk about, it was evident there because he was falling backwards. He just wanted to get rid of it outside of the parameters of the field to make sure no one else could get to it. Again, the maturity of this young quarterback continues, taking a play and making sure he doesn't turn into a major negative.
One of the things this young man has taken on is checking at the line of scrimmage, too, and that shows his maturity.
Yeah, Coach Cutter said we almost have talked about not checking so much. He's getting so good at it. Let's just run a few of the plays.
2nd and 10. Pocket collapses into the end zone, incomplete. Pass was intended for Pinkard. Troy Polamalu was on the coverage. One thing that this Arizona State team doesn't do, which we're kind of surprised, shotgun.
Yeah, they don't run the shotgun, and I think here was really not a good decision. Double coverage. They had him inside and outside Polamalu, and it looked like DeShaun Hill, number 5. He got away with that one. 3rd and 10, and this is a huge drive for Arizona State because, frankly, I think a field goal here is a disappointment for them.
They're 3 of 10 on 3rd down conversions. They try to run it down to the 10-yard line. It's Mike Williams. Matt Grudegood upends him. And they will settle for the field goal.
But Dirk Cutter has a lot of confidence in Mike Barth, their kicker. Young man missed 4 against North Carolina. They lose the game by 3. But he said, my confidence has never wavered in this young man, and he's come back with a vengeance. It's a big-time leg on him. And if he makes this one, they're within 7 and really playing very well in the second half. They're carrying the fight to USC the second half.
He's got a 22-yarder already. This is from the 27. Perfect. Number 8, USC allowing unranked Arizona State to hang around. The Sun Devils have pulled within a touchdown. And let's take a look at our Gateway game summary. And I think one of the important notes is you look at USC, 25-39 on time of possession. They have dominated time of possession this year, but they haven't been productive with that time.
No, all their points have come in the first half. The second half has belonged to Arizona State. They haven't cashed in as much as they would have liked. But right now, they're feeling pretty good about themselves. Offense and defense playing well.
Marshall Allman crosses the 20, crosses the 25, up to the 27-yard line as we begin quarter number 4. This week's installment of Home Depot Building a Team features famous Coliseum events. Of course, how about the LA Dodgers played here from 1958 to 61 while Dodger Stadium was being built? And who can forget Super Bowl I, January 15th, 1967, the Chiefs and the Packers, not actually called the Super Bowl back then. 1932 Olympics and then the 1984 Summer Olympic Games, all part of this Coliseum.
The great Rayford Johnson bringing in the torch.
The great Rayford Johnson. Palmer pulls it down, has to dump it off. Complete over the 40-yard line, down to the 40-yard line. Fargas. Justin Fargas came in with no receptions on the year, and tonight he shows us he can catch the ball. That's good for 33.
As well as break tackles. Carson Palmer pulls the ball down. Missed tackle Solomon Bates. Missed tackle R.J. Oliver, number 26, before he's finally run down on the backside by Matt Fawley. Huge play, huge shift in field position, and USC maybe can generate some offense now, something they haven't been able to do in the second half.
Well, let's see if Terrell Suggs can get something going. He has been quiet. He has 1 sack tonight. That's it. We've only called his name a couple of times. Palmer scrambling, throwing across his body. Pass is complete down to the 8-yard line. Keary Colbert. 6 catches tonight, and now we got a little pushing and shoving going on.
That's because Terrell Suggs stayed on top of their quarterback just a bit too long for their likes. Big 31-yard gain, but you just mentioned his name. He tried to make a play here, and Carson Palmer got the ball just before Terrell Suggs got to him. See Suggs laying on him and watching, and there's Brent Guy, the defensive coordinator for Arizona State. You see his head in his hands for a second there, because he knew how close they were to that being a big play for the Sun Devils instead of for USC.
Well, they want a 3-to-1 ratio. Big plays defensively to big plays offensively that they give up. Moving his feet inside the 5, and it's Fargas again. Shivers trying to stand him up. Fargas is not only showing us he can block tonight, he can catch. He's not afraid to put his head down and get those tough 1 or 2 yards.
No, those are explosive yards that Justin Fargas just gained there. Because Jason Shivers has been bringing it all night long from the free safety position. I believe that was his 12th tackle, 13th tackle tonight. So we're going to have to pack him in ice for the flight home.
That's right.
But Justin Fargas, as you mentioned, not afraid to try and get the extra yard with a little extra muscle.
2nd down and goal. Fargas and Pearson in the eye. Fargas straight ahead. Touchdown, USC.
Right up the middle. Excellent blocking, man on man. And there's a big hole for him to run through. And he saw the end zone, knew where to go with it.
Fargas, a shade under 100 yards rushing the football on 21 carries. His first touchdown tonight. And the extra point is good. First drive of the final stanza, USC makes good. Justin Fargas with the touchdown, his 4th of the year. In official capacity, they'll have that at the Notre Dame game in a couple of weeks. For these kind of games, about 70,000 on hand, but how about 32 and 84 Olympics? It's a landmark now.
Yeah, Super Bowl I, which was a landmark game, of course, and then the other Super Bowl that was held here was the year of the Miami Dolphins' perfect season when they went 17-0, beating the Washington Redskins 14-7. And we saw Rachel Johnson bring in the torch for the Olympics.
Josh Golden tiptoes down the sideline, hurdles 1 over the 40. Ball is loose.
I think he was down. Ground caused the...
Yeah, I think it was too. Boy, he's not afraid to go air.
Now, he's a young man happy to be at Arizona State. Found him at a junior college. He was a teammate of Brett Hudson, and they ran out of defensive backs. As you see Jimmy Verdon, number 91, tripping him up.
Yeah.
But you mentioned earlier about Josh Golden coming here to play, and Brett Hudson coming, and you mentioned they needed defensive backs.
Yep.
That's why they picked up Josh Golden. He was a late get, and they're glad to have him.
USC showing 6 on the line. Here they come. Andrew Walter stands in a pocket, passes complete down to the 37-yard line. Mike Pinkard, the big tight end. Coaches call him a frustrating player because at times he just doesn't get everything from his talent, but tonight he's showing us that talent.
Yes, and right here, watch DeShaun Hill come over to make the play. Watch where he goes through Mike Pinkard. Too low. Excellent tackle, but in order to try and break up the pass, you have to go through him high to try and knock the ball free. DeShaun Hill normally does that. Still a good tackle, but no chance to knock the ball loose.
23 on the pickup. They go to the ground, nothing doing from Mike Williams. You know, 2 of the last 3 teams that this USC defense has faced have been able to throw for over 300 yards. Now, the previous 6 games, only 1 team did that. Once again, they've had the injuries. They've been slowed in the backfield. And Sean Cody not in that lineup for USC. They're not getting that big, huge pass rush from the front 4.
He is their Terrell Suggs, not in terms of number of sacks, but in terms of the people that he occupied when he was on the field, Sean Cody. That allowed other people to make plays.
2nd and 9. Here comes the blitz again. Walter steps up. Can't step up far enough. Champ Simmons trips him up. The 4th sack tonight for the USC defense. If you think this is exciting, wait till next week. Next Saturday at 7 o'clock Eastern on TBS. The Oklahoma Sooners, currently ranked number 4 in the country, will take on the Red Raiders of Texas Tech. And that is for the Big 12 South title. Texas Tech, the big upset over Texas today out in Lubbock at SBC Jones Stadium. Third down and a bundle now for Arizona State. Play action. Walter has time. Pass complete. Short the first down. Sean McDonald looks like he is about a foot short, depending on where they mark it.
See the spot. Very close. Excellent patience in the pocket by Andrew Walter. Again, give his line credit. The rush got there, but he stood in and delivered a strike. Sean McDonald, deep curl route. Polamalu with the tackle. He almost missed. He's able to get him down. 4th and short. Got to go for it here if you're Arizona State. No field goal.
Last 5 tries against USC, 0 for 3. Here they go. Make it another one. USC again. They have been so tough on 4th down. This time, Pollard and Pollard combined for the stop. That is disappointing if you're a Sun Devil.
Very difficult to run laterally against USC because their linebackers run so well. Held the point of attack. Great job by Marcel Allman, their corner, number 8. Didn't allow anyone to get outside. Watch, see how he holds the point of attack right there? Boom, and then helps make the tackle. Allows his posse to get to it from the inside out. And the ball goes over on downs. I saw Dirk Cutter mouthing face mask on the play, wanting a call. Doesn't get it. USC a big defensive stand right now.
Palmer once more steps up, throws it down the sideline, and it is going to be incomplete. Keary Colbert, the intended receiver. Good crowd on hand, almost 74,000 here in the Coliseum tonight, trying to see if USC can extend this win streak this year to 5 straight games. I mean, you think about it, going back to mid-last year, USC is 12-4 in their last 16 games.
I think that speaks volumes about the coaching staff and what it's taken for the system to be implemented. Because this team is now grasped onto both sides of it, offense and defense, and they're very comfortable playing their game.
Palmer looking to scramble. Dumps it out on the flat to the tight end. Again, Alex Holmes, and he gets another Trojan first down. Solomon Bates on the stop. 6 catches now for Alex Holmes. Well, tonight's question comes from Boyd Robertson from Irvine, California. And the question was, who was the last player to win the Heisman from the Pac-10?
Marcus Allen, USC, 1981.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Britannica.
The last one, and that's why there's such a stink about the thing. They've had a number of candidates from the West Coast and the Pac-10. Remember, John Elway finished second to Herschel Walker in 1982.
There's a legitimate beef there, too, on that end.
Yeah, you know, if you take it out of the realm of the Pac-10, too, Gino Torretta beating out Marshall Faulk.
That's right.
That rubbed people raw in terms of that one. Now, a lot of people West Coast saying, hold up a second. You know, there have been other deserving guys out there, but look at who has a good number of them. USC with 4 of them, including their current athletic director, Mike Garrett, who won the Heisman Trophy here. Of course, O.J. won the Heisman here. Marcus and Charles White before him. Remember, Marcus Allen paid his dues by blocking for Charles White during his Heisman Trophy year as a fullback.
That's one of the great John Robinson stories that Coach Robinson tells. They throw it out on the flat, complete to Keary Colbert. Brett Hudson on the stop. Now let's take a look at our this week's Jack Daniels Original Hard Cola flashback. Mike Garrett back in 65. He was able to pick him up and lay him down. How about in 68, it's the Juice.
Yeah, he could run it a little bit, couldn't he?
He was fair.
Remember, Juice was a JUCO transfer also. People forget that. Charles White, of course, one of the great tailbacks here. Marcus Allen. And you remember one tailback who didn't win the Heisman that many people thought deserved it, Ricky Bell.
That's right. Maybe there is a little bias.
The late Ricky Bell.
Oh, my. Malafu McKenzie was one step away from just cutting loose. Carson Palmer couldn't get him the football. Shivers on the coverage.
Take a look at number 30. Jason Shivers slips on the play, and if Malaifu McKenzie was looking just a half-second earlier, he might be able to make an adjustment, and he might have been the one picking him up, putting him down towards the end zone.
4th down, USC is going to be forced to kick it away.
I wonder if the field gets a little slick here at night. You know what I mean?
The air is thick. Malone's kick. Fumble out of bounds at the 14-yard line. Sean McDonald just couldn't get the hands on it. We've got 8:43 to play. Arizona State needs to do something, and they need to do it quickly. I'm with Charles Davis, Craig Sager, Erin Andrews. I'm Ron Thulin, welcoming you back to the Coliseum. Carson Palmer having not the exceptional game, but I think he's playing a solid game. He's been very efficient in his throws tonight.
Yeah, and what's interesting about that is that for him, he probably needs exceptional games for people to stand up and take notice. A guy like Ken Dorsey, who's been on the national scene for a while, that people have anointed as a front runner. If he has an efficient game, they call that pretty good.
That's right. That's right. Andrew Walter's pass off the fingertips. Intended for Skylar Fulton.
Need a little help from your friends in this situation. Got to make the catch there.
You know, we talked at the beginning of the game, and Craig talked about it earlier, about somebody else making plays. And, you know, Andrew Walter is doing his part, but who is going to be that person on the offense to make the big play for Arizona State? Darrell Lightfoot out with a shoulder injury. Who's going to step up?
Someone does. Remember, 15 of the last 16 first down plays for Arizona State have been passes, which illuminates their lack of a running game.
Here comes the rush. Walter steps up, throws down the sideline, incomplete. Intended for Derek Hagan. And just a reminder, Big Play Saturday keeps rolling after the game of the Movie Bowl. Tonight's movie, Roadhouse, starring Charles' favorite actor, Patrick Swayze. After the game, the Movie Bowl, only on CBS Superstation.
Nobody puts baby in a corner. Wrong movie. Right?
That's right.
Wrong
that's
movie.
right.
All I know in Roadhouse, that man cleans up the town.
He does that.
Patrick Swayze cleans up that town.
It's 3rd down and 10, and the crowd's into it. Walter looking. Incomplete. Intended for Skylar Fulton. Darrell Rideau on the coverage. Good pressure, though, on Andrew Walter again. They're getting that surge on the offensive line, or the defensive line.
Well, with the score being 27-13, you know, midway through the 4th quarter, USC, Pete Carroll, who acts as his own defensive coordinator, knows that the run game is not how Arizona State can get back into it quickly. So he's calling his schemes to rush the passer.
Barker's kick to Justin White, and he backpedals. To the 29. Up over the 45 to the 46-yard line. 56 yards on the kick. 16 on the return. 8:17 to play in the ball game. Arizona State down by 14. Andrews, we have 8:17 to play in the ball game. USC has led from the get-go, and they lead by a couple of touchdowns right now, and they have 1st and 10 from their own 45-yard line, and people are jumping all over the place.
Good hard count.
So for USC right now, slim hopes of the Rose Bowl, although it's still out there. But if they win out...
Dead ball. False start on the offense. 5-yard penalty. Still 1st down.
If they win out, you would have to think they might get that BCS at-large bowl game.
Definitely have a shot at it. They have the name. You know, Carson Palmer is a recognizable quarterback. Pete Carroll, a recognizable head coach. Of course, USC is a total program. But their slim hopes have gotten, you know, a renewed hope today, Ron, because Washington beat Oregon today.
That's right.
And they're thinking maybe Washington is playing better and has a chance at Washington State in the Apple Cup.
There's just 2 games left for USC at UCLA that host to Notre Dame in 2 weeks. So keep it on the ground with Justin Fargas. Matt Foley comes up to make the stop. Arizona State, on the other hand, they still want to go to a bowl. Arizona State, 7-4 coming into this game as they celebrate their 25th year in the Pac-10.
So they're already bowl eligible. It's just a matter of what bowl for Dirk Cutter, and what a great job. You have to salute him, don't
Absolutely.
you? Absolutely have to salute him. They were picked for, what, 9th in the preseason?
By the so-called experts. Not us.
We didn't vote on that.
No, I didn't. Don't remember doing that at the Pac-10 meetings.
Didn't vote on that.
Carson Palmer looking, dumping into the flat. Pass is complete. Greg Gunther is
Greg Gunther, Jr.
Fans, check out our instant poll results. Speaking of bowls, and that was our question, do you think USC will play in a New Year's Day bowl? 65% of you are very smart. You say yes. 35%? No.
And remember, a New Year's Day bowl isn't necessarily a BCS bowl, right?
Exactly right. That's exactly right.
Because everything is jumped around a little. But I think that if they win out, it'd be hard to keep them out of an at-large spot for the BCS. I really do. I think that they're the type of a team to be very attractive for the bowl people.
They score a lot of points. They play good defense. Mike Williams decided not to go for it. He saw the defense closing quickly on him. Looked like Alfred Williams had a bead on Mike Williams. Here's the Trojans have left. After tonight at UCLA, that's a real big road game. Yeah, about half an hour up the road, Notre Dame on November the 30th. And that place, they've already sold it out, we understand. 92,000 they're expecting.
And remember, Notre Dame may be one of the teams they would have to battle for that BCS spot. Because as I understand the rules, if Notre Dame is in the top 6 in the BCS rankings, they get an automatic at-large berth, is the way the rules are written.
Fourth down, USC kicking it away. McDonald running up. Lets it take a hit. It'll be down at the 11-yard line. 7:52 to play in the ball game. USC leads by 14. Carson Palmer takes a rest, but we're not going to let his parents rest. Here's Erin Andrews.
Okay, Ron, I'm here, like you said, with Carson Palmer's parents, Dania and Bill Palmer. And Heisman ballots just came out today, and of course a lot of people are talking about Carson Palmer, but USC didn't really promote him at the beginning of the season because they didn't know really which way the season would go. You think they should step up promotion now or keep it low-key?
No, I think they should low-key it. Just keep it low-key like it's been all along.
Carson, definitely a big leader on this team. He helped the team turn it around after they suffered from those 2 losses. Do you know what he told the team and how he helped them turn it around?
No, just stay focused, keep going like they've been doing, and everything started clicking for them. And particularly on offense, the defense has always been strong, so things have gone along well.
Carson, of course, says you are one of the biggest influences in his life. Are you surprised by the way he's reacted to this season?
Well, we're thrilled. We're thrilled. I mean, it's the best season we've had here yet. We've still got to win this game yet, but we're thrilled. Absolutely.
Thank you very much. Guys, back to you.
All right. Andrew Walters' pass picked off at the 35-yard line by Simmons. And he is going to be brought down at about the 24-yard line. Champ Simmons with his 2nd interception of the year.
We spoke earlier in the game about what a luxury it is for Pete Carroll to have 3 linebackers that can run and drop. And earlier, Champ Simmons dropped an interception. This time, he picks it off and brings it back. USC's in business as much as 30 to 35 yards downfield. Champ Simmons should have had an interception earlier. This time it paid off. Dirk Cutter talking with his quarterback. Another learning point for a youngster.
We talked at the top of the show, both offenses potent. Who will make the most mistakes? That would determine the game. Sultan Mccullough straight ahead running down to about the 17-yard line. But also, one of the things Pete Carroll wanted his defense to do, start ball hawking a little more. He felt that, yes, they had 10 interceptions coming into the game, but he said that's not enough.
It's not enough with as aggressive a secondary as he's had, but he did temper that with the understanding, as we talked about earlier, Kevin Arbette, a defensive back gone for the year. Ronald Nunn, defensive back gone for the year. So they've had to, reconfigure their secondary a few different times before they've settled on this rotation. A lot of those guys are just trying to get comfortable on the field before they realize they should go for footballs.
Fargas gets to the 15, stays on his feet as he makes his way down to the 10. Here's Ernie Johnson in the big game house.
All right, thank you, Sue. Colorado is trying to sew up the Big 12 North tonight as they host Iowa State. This play just doomed from the start as Seneca Wallace of Iowa State can't handle it. And that's Medford Moore on his way with a convoy. They put him up 34-20, but Seneca Wallace has come back with a touchdown. Game's not over yet, boys. Take it away.
All right, EJ. Enjoy Hawaii, my friend.
Well, you got to give a lot of credit here to Bill McCartney, not Bill McCartney, but Gary Barnett. You know, Bill McCartney, of course, was a former coach at Colorado, but Gary Barnett brought his team back. What a run.
Fargas inside the 5. Boy, you have to love it when you see a back like Fargas. Hadn't gotten a whole lot of playing time on a consistent basis up until a couple of weeks ago. Lower that shoulder and say, hit me, I'll take you on.
You can feel it all the way up here. I called them explosive yards earlier in the game that he's getting, and a number of them have been. A lot of yardage after the initial contact. He's 6'1", 210, and this is a guy, remember, he broke his leg in Michigan, didn't heal properly. They had to re-break the leg before he came back. Wow. 3 screws in his leg. What a player.
The second 100-yard performance this year goes to Pater. Lowers the head, gets down to the 1-yard line. They can get a first down. It looks like it's just a shade away from the goal line. Here's Fargas catching the ball. He did it all tonight.
Yeah, in the pass game, catching the screen earlier, then catches another one. These are his initial 2 receptions of the season. And let's not forget why he's really in the game, carrying the ball from the tailback position, scoring a touchdown for the Trojans. You can see why the offensive line loves him so much.
Oh yeah.
Just give him a little bit of a crack there. Look at the ripped jersey there. You talk about him lowering the shoulder.
That was it. Carson Palmer keeps it with a surge. Touchdown USC. Carson Palmer's 4th rushing touchdown of the year. Set it up with Fargas running. Carson takes it the final yard. .439 to play, and USC on to their 5th consecutive win, 8th straight here at home. And we have a timeout. 4:39. Nearly 74,000 faithful are standing in the Coliseum. Let's take a look at tonight's All-State Good Hands play. How about Sean McDonald? Nice turn, nice catch. Versatility for McDonald tonight.
Very nearly a one-handed catch, showing the great hands of All-State, our All-State Good Hands play.
And Jason Shivers and Josh Golden back for Arizona State. Shivers a yard deep. Gets away from the first wave. Over to the 22-yard line. Well, Arizona State has had a marvelous year. As Charles mentioned, they were picked to finish 9th in the conference, but this would be their 3rd consecutive loss if this score holds up. They still have to go at Arizona. And Dirk Cutter challenged his players after that Washington State game. And we asked him about that last night, and you get the sense that normally Arizona State, after 11 games, their season's over. They still have a couple of games to go. Are they hitting the wall? Mentally, not more so than physically.
Look at where the season began. August the 24th. They played one of the specials early in the season. That's a long year, and it took them a while to get to their bye weeks. You know, they get a bye after this week, and then they play at Arizona to conclude. But it's taken a while to get there, so he's had to change how they practice. You know, cut down a little bit of practice time, but they still have to get in their work. You know, change whether or not you wear pads every day or not. Have to do a lot of things to keep them fresh mentally, and he's done a great job of doing it.
Well, Terrell Suggs, we talked about him in the open. He has 1 sack tonight. That is it. USC's offensive line has done a nice job on the NCAA's best sack man. Pass is complete. Hagan takes a shot in the back. This telecast is a copyrighted presentation of the University of Southern California, a member of the Pacific 10 Conference, the Conference of Champions. It may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without express written consent of USC or the Pac-10.
See Derek Hagan showing the effects of the hit he took from Justin Wyatt.
Andrew Walter getting rough. Little scrambling ability, and he smartly takes the slide. Well, the BCS standings will be coming out in a couple of days, but right now, Ohio State, that close win today over Illinois in overtime. And you have to wonder how that will affect them. But Oklahoma still sitting right in there. Texas is obviously going to drop.
Remember, Miami of Florida had the day off today, and sometimes by sitting at home, you actually move up. We'll see how their schedule plays into it. If the teams that they've played won today, that'll help their strength of schedule.
Well, Mike Williams didn't have a shot at that. Also, once again, Iowa, big win today. They probably will move up.
And don't forget the Cougs. Washington State, just couging it. Mike Price and his guys sitting at home today, watching it all unfold. They have the Apple Cup next week. And they're thinking, hey, a couple more things happen. We might be playing in the Fiesta Bowl.
Exactly right. They're still in it. Mike's done a great job this year.
Yeah, tremendous.
So is this man.
Yeah, Pete Carroll, boy. He's brought the spirit back to this place. You can feel it here. There's the articles that are being written, the optimism surrounding this program. It's like the days of Troy of old.
Walters pass up in the air, incomplete. Troy Polamalu was the one who hit it. Darrell Rideau had a chance to bring it down and couldn't get the meat hooks on it.
Just to finish up on that with Pete Carroll, when he was hired, there were a number of questions about hiring a guy out of the NFL again because they had done that with Paul Hackett.
Right.
Remember, Paul Hackett been some college done college before at Pittsburgh, but also gone to the NFL, and they were saying, I don't know about this guy. Boy, do they know now. They understand now why he's a perfect fit for college with his enthusiasm and his schemes, and the recruiting is just getting better and better.
This was 4th down for Arizona State if they want to keep things alive. Walters pass incomplete. Intended for Derek Hagan. Justin Wyatt on the coverage. And Dirk Cutter will take off the headset. TBS Big Play Saturday brought to you by Best Buy. For the latest technology, turn on the fun at Best Buy. By the Home Depot, driving down the cost of home improvement. By Philips, stay sharp on game day with a Philips digital widescreen projection TV. And by Gateway, a better way. Now the USC offense comes on. Dirk Cutter still coaching his young quarterback. He's really seen the improvement mechanically from Andrew Walter. And just remember that name, my friends. He's going to be a good one. USC is wisely going to keep it on the ground. Here's Ernie Johnson at the Big Game House.
Yeah, thanks, Ron. And right after the game, I'm going to have highlights from what happened today. A real close call for Ohio State and Texas. It was more than a close call for them. And Georgia beat Auburn to win the SEC East and move on to the Georgia Dome and play for the SEC championship.
Go Dogs!
Not that that has any significance to either of us. Matt Arden, Cherie, Christian, you got the movie ball afterwards. What movie are we watching?
Just a little hint. The show's going to rock, and
We have Roadhouse, Patrick Swayze.
I can't wait. Neither can you, right, Thu?
You got it. I'm going to stick around, Ernie. I promise I will. Really. Obviously, Herschel Tennis on the coverage, the true freshman out of Long Beach. Carson Palmer done for the evening. Matt Castle, the sophomore out of Huntington Beach, has checked in. The numbers on Carson, 20 of 34. Couple of touchdown passes, 214. I don't think he did anything to hurt his chances for the Heisman Trophy. Those voters on the East Coast, just look at the numbers. What he has done. Forget about the other years. Look at this year, what this young man has done.
And that's what it's supposed to be about. It's supposed to be a one-year award, but unfortunately, what we've run into along the way is they give this award sometimes for lifetime achievement.
That's right. It's not an MVP award either.
The thing about it, though, is everyone has to vote to their preference. And Craig Sager, our colleague, has a vote. He's got to figure out what he's going to vote and how he goes about doing it. Because all it says on the ballot, if I'm not mistaken, is vote for the most outstanding player in college football. That's all it says. Now you have to decide what that means.
Okay, let's ask him. Craig, who are you going to vote for?
Well, no, but following up on what Charles said, most outstanding player, back when Barry Sanders won the Heisman Trophy, I looked at his brother, who was at Northwestern, and he had 1,000 yards rushing behind Northwestern's in that line. So I vote for the other Sanders.
Hey, Craig, was Willie the Wildcat his lead blocker there, too?
Yeah, Willie got out of the end zone a couple of times that year. When I was the mascot, they caged me 3 straight weeks because we didn't score.
Straight ahead running for USC, Herschel Dennis, a fine-looking freshman. Now let's take a look at tonight's Wrangler 5-star play of the game. And it comes up with a little interception in the end zone. Well done. DeShaun Hill with his first interception of the year. Wrangler, real comfortable. Now DeShaun Hill also with 5 tackles tonight, 45 on the season. And the defense stood up to the challenge when they needed it. Third down at about 1, up to the 20-yard line. They'll be close to the first down. And that should do it. Matt Castle, the sophomore quarterback, will finish things up for Carson Palmer. And USC will extend their win streak to 5 consecutive victories, 8 straight at home. That's the longest since 87-88 when they won 10 in a row. And Pete Carroll still has the glimmer of hope for the Pac-10 championship. But that belongs in Washington State's court. Dirk Cutter. He'll drop one. Well, tonight's U.S. Army Players of the Game, powered by America Online and voted by you, the fans. And it's a quarterback.
Boy, that's a surprise.
There's a surprise. Andrew Walter, 27. Suggs got 26, but Carson Palmer got 67%. And with Carson Palmer now is our Craig Sager.
Well, thank you, Ron. Carson going around congratulating the other players, trying to find his opposing quarterback, also the player of the game. Carson, we talked about the game today, talking about the momentum you guys have put together, the rhythm you're in. When did things start to click for you?
A couple weeks ago, our offense especially just started clicking, started playing well, playing together and playing confident. Tonight we struggled a little bit, but the important thing is that we got the win.
Before the game, a plane was flying over with a banner that said Carson for Heisman. We are also promoting your case. How much do you think about that, and how much do you think about the performance tonight?
I'm not worried about it. I'm not focused on it at all. I'm just focused on right now. I'm focused on trying to beat UCLA. You know, it's definitely an honor, and I'm definitely flattered by the whole thing, but I'd rather win football games and win some big games and go to a big bowl to finish off the year.
You guys keep moving up in the standings. You're only 2 extra points away from being undefeated. What is your goal? How do you want to finish this season?
We have 2 huge games left, and we need to win them both. Notre Dame at home and UCLA in Pasadena. So 2 huge games, and there are big rivalry games, so we'd like to finish off with wins in those.
Although you lost in overtime to Washington State, are you rooting for Washington State so that they can go to maybe the national championship game, you go to the Rose Bowl?
Definitely. I want them to go to the Fiesta Bowl and let us slide up in there to the Rose Bowl. That'd be great.
All right, thanks a lot. We enjoyed watching.
Thank you very much.
Ryan?
All right, Sags, Carson Palmer, one of our MVPs tonight, is the USC band. Obviously very happy tonight also. But I think this is our last Pac-10 game here on TBS, and I'll tell you, it's been a marvelous season. In the Pac-10 conference, they are going to be represented well come bowl time.
Oh, without a doubt. When you look at their conference tie-ins, there's even the aspect now, they might gain an additional berth because the Seattle Bowl may not be able to fill theirs, and the Pac-10 may jump in and take that one because they have so many teams that will be eligible and attractive. Great season for the Pac-10.
Big Play Saturday is presented to you by Best Buy and T-Mobile. Once again, the final score, the number 8 Trojans of USC take care of Arizona State Sun Devils. The final again, 34-13. For the latest scores, in-depth analysis, CNNSI.com. Sports Illustrated at CNN Speed. And a reminder, our next telecast will be next Saturday at 7 o'clock Eastern on TBS as the 4th-ranked Oklahoma Sooners take on the Red Raiders of Texas Tech. And, of course, as usual, Big Play Saturday continues with the Movie Bowl as Patrick Swayze stars in Roadhouse. For Charles Davis, Craig Sager, Erin Andrews, and the rest of the crew, I'm Ron Thulin saying good night from Los Angeles, where the Trojans win their 5th consecutive game, 34-13. TJ will wrap things up from the Big Game House right after this.